Hello, my name is Sharon Dinolfo, and I'm the manager and tour planner for TLC Tours. Welcome to our annual travel meeting. This is the portion where we show you beautiful photographs of many of our tours, which help you decide which trips are the ones you want to join us on for 2022. After having to cancel our tours for 2020, we reopened last year and resumed our travels with resounding success. Clearly, people were ready to get out and about and return to living their lives, along with common sense protocols in place, of course. We certainly had plenty of our wonderful passengers eager to climb on our coaches. The main challenge for me was finding restaurants that could take large groups, or hotels that had enough help to do our luggage service, or even our fast foods places that we use for rest stops that were still just drive-thrus because you can't take a coach through the drive-through window. So we hung in there though, and we had a wonderful year, much fun together. What a great feeling it was to start living life again, for sure. Then as we began to talk about what we were going to do for our travel meetings this year, we still felt there was enough concern and need for a degree of caution that we chose not to hold them in our normal fashion again yet this year, which is to have hundreds and hundreds of people in one auditorium at a time, sitting pretty close together and not having a lot of room to spread apart for those that are still more comfortable that way. So as you can see, we're repeating again from last year and putting together our picture show on a DVD and bringing it to you. So just as before, I'm going to talk to you as if we were having a one-on-one conversation in my living room, which actually we are. So to start with, for our brand new friends who haven't gotten to know us yet, although I sure hope we change that by the end of our time together today, here's a little bit of who we are and what we're all about. The entire staff of TLC Tours were co-workers together for many, many years with another company. We loved what we were doing, but some things began changing behind the scenes that we were not comfortable with. And one by one, all of us left for one reason or another. It was a sad time for us, having enjoyed great success with thousands and thousands of people who we had come to know as friends. Difficult on many levels. But and I always say this, just as the sun was about to set forever, it rose again, and out of the blue came two wonderful people, Todd and Becky Campbell from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, who had heard our story and gathered us together and wanted to know if we would like to start working again, doing what we've always done, under their ownership instead. And it wasn't long after we visited with them and got to know them that we knew this was meant to be, and all 10 of us came back together under this new company, TLC Tours. And just so you know, our office is located in a cute little white cottage right on the edge of Columbiana with a large parking lot and a big TLC Tours sign out front. Sit back a little far, but you can find us, and we love it when people stop in and say hi. So our new name, TLC, stands for Tender Loving Care. We wanted a name that represented who we are and how we treat our customers, a statement that conveyed our hearts, and is what we'd be striving to give on every tour that departed. And it is our commitment to you that to the very best of our ability, you will be treated with TLC the entire time you're traveling with us. We won't be perfect, as no one is, but we guarantee we will try with all that we have to give you a travel experience that's everything you hoped it would be and more. And in our new 2022 tour book, there are a combined total of around 100 overnight tours and day trips just waiting for you to look through. So have fun and enjoy that. Now, at this point in our normal travel meetings, I would be calling our TLC tour team of escorts, drivers, and office staff to join me on the platform so I could let you meet them and see who they are. Alas, that's not to be the case this year again, but I definitely want to give you their names so that you're at least a little familiar with who you're talking to when you call in the office or go out on tour with them. So first is Donna Duckworth and Linda Mulhall, who share the office responsibilities with me. They wear many hats and are excellent at their jobs, as well as just being really great sweethearts. You will love working with them when you call us or stop in. Then we have our team of escorts. Now, one thing I always like to share is that none of them have to work. They're doing this because they love people and they love being able to show you the things you've always wished you could see. I assure you that each one cares very much about your travel experience with us, and you will not be disappointed no matter who you're out with. So this excellent escorting team includes Mary Lou Hammond, Betty Ann Jones, Eleanor Steffens, Jessica McMenamin, Kathy Lloyd, and our newest addition last year, Lynette Marr. And last, but by no means least, the best coach drivers you'll find anywhere, Rich and Karen Harold. What gems they are. And I'm going to tell you a quick, fun little story about them, even though I know if you've been to our other travel meetings, you've heard it. And I know if you listened to last year's DVD, you did also. But it's so fun. And for our new people, I think you'll enjoy just knowing the little backstory when you go out with them. So both Rich and Karen worked for the other company that we worked for, and they were single. And eventually we heard a little noise like, I think Rich and Karen might be kind of interested in each other. And then a little more time went by and somebody's like, I think they might be seeing each other. And then pretty soon it's like, I think they're a couple. And eventually, sure enough, there were wedding invitations in the mail. So it has just been a neat, fun little story, a little Hallmark story going on there in our office. And so fun. But they are great people. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but they take out our Florida tour for us every February. In fact, by the time you see this DVD, they will have just returned from this year's trip. But we have next year's set up already again. And if you want a wonderful time, definitely want to consider joining us when Rich and Karen take our group down to Florida. So suffice it to say, I genuinely cannot speak highly enough about each one who's part of TLC, including our wonderful owners, Todd and Becky. We love being part of our new company, and I can guarantee you that everyone on the TLC staff is ready and super eager to get out on the road again this year with all of you. Now, what I'm going to do next is just a quick question and answer time for some of our most asked questions. We talked about them on the DVD last year, but I need to repeat them because they're the same things that people still ask us all the time, and hopefully it will help you to hear what I had to say about them. So the first thing that people often want to know is, why do you have that single rate so high, so much higher than the other rates? It's very simple. One reason, and that's the room. When we contract with a hotel, they give us one price for each of the rooms, and they don't really care how many are in it. So if 2 people are traveling together, they get to split the cost of the room. If 3 people are traveling together, of course, we get to divide it by 3, and 4 people, we divide by 4. But if you're a single person, you have to pick up that whole cost of the room yourself. And then you can see on a multi-day trip how that ends up adding up. And that's what takes the price of the trip up. We don't add 1 penny more on for anything else on that trip if you're going single. We would never do that. And then the BLD you see on some of the tours. Again, simple answer, stands for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's because I abbreviate it because I'm always scrounging for extra space to add even 1 or 2 more little descriptive words to a tour. You know, my space is very limited in the tour book, and I always want every letter I can get. So when I abbreviate breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a BLD, it just buys me a little more space to say a few more things about that tour. So that's what those are. And then, yes, for all you observant ones, the T in our logo is a cross. It's something that's very important to each one of us, and we cherish having that be a part of who we are. And if you're wondering where our pickups are, both the Ohio ones and the Pennsylvania ones are in that first paragraph in the general information section in the back of our tour book, and it includes addresses. But I need to clarify something that wasn't in last year, but did come up several times this year. There's one exception to that, and that is for the PA folks on a day trip that goes from the east to the west. And it's a long story, it's the logistics involved, but we need those trips to start in Columbiana. So if you are from PA on a day trip that goes, and the trip's going from east to somewhere west, probably over into Ohio somewhere for the day, then you would need to come to Columbiana. It's not that far, but you would need to come to Columbiana. for everything else we do. Any of the day trips going west to east and all of the overnight trips, all of those pickups are available for our PA folks, no matter what. So to clarify that a little bit, maybe that'll help. And then if you're concerned about getting to Columbiana on time, because any of the trips that leave are overnight and leave going east to west, that's a pretty early pickup. And so we are in luck with a wonderful hotel about 2 miles down the road called the Dutch Village Inn. It's a Best Western. And they give a special discount to anyone who comes in and says, I'm staying the night, I need a room because I'm leaving with TLC Tours in the morning on a tour. And the other thing I want to be sure to tell you is you want to come early enough in the evening to check in that you can eat at the restaurant right in the parking lot behind called the Dutch House, because it's wonderful Mennonite cooking and the pies are like this high. So by all means, it's a fun and a nice, relaxing way to start a tour if you have an early pickup in Columbiana at our office. Another question we're often asked is, this book you have, it's like newspaper print, and you used to have these books with nice thick pages and a big fancy cover, and now it's just like, it's a newspaper thing, and we get it in our newspaper. What's with that? Well, again, easy answer is that for the same amount of money it cost us to send out about 7,000 of those fancy books, we are able to send about 250,000 of the papers, of the books in the paper in the form that you're getting them in. So as you can tell, that just makes a whole lot of sense for us. But we always keep extra in the office, and if you look at yours a lot and it gets dog-eared, we would gladly send you out a fresh copy. So don't ever hesitate to call and ask. And if you have any friends that would like, you think would like to receive a book, we send those out often to people that have a family member or someone they think would enjoy it. And so just call us with their name and address, and we'll gladly get that in the mail too. Now, for all of our tours, 3 days or more. Once the book is done, once the travel meetings are done, my life becomes making flyers. So, as I mentioned earlier, there's only a small amount of space in that tour book to put the highlights of each tour. Every time there's always more that I didn't have room to put in there. So I make these detailed flyers. So we have piles and piles of them in our office. And the suggestion is that you would sit down with an extra little piece of scratch paper when you're going through the book, or when you're watching this DVD, or when you're looking us up on our website, which I'll tell you about in a minute, that you just jot down the ones you're really interested in, give us a call, tell us all the flyers you'd like to have, and we'll put them in the mail. We send out tons of these every day. So and we want to. So by all means, don't hesitate to give us a call and let us help you. But the flyers are where you're going to find out all the information about these tours, as opposed to just the highlights. Now, some other happy news is that our website is up and running full speed ahead. One of our wonderful escorts, Betty Ann Jones, we've kind of designated her as our webmaster. She inputs all the tours in there, all the beautiful pictures, and keeps track of it, keeps it up to date. If there's any announcements, things like that. And so when you want to find out more about a tour or see if there's been any changes or additions, the website is very user-friendly. We've kept it pretty simple, and I encourage you to go there. 3 little words put together, funwithtlc.com. Very easy, funwithtlc.com. So encourage you to use that, another way that you can get our information. And the last part of that would be, we do have a Facebook page. People ask us that. Yes, we do. I don't do a lot on there. I put announcements, about like I did about our travel meetings and some upcoming special things. But the best part about that Facebook page is that our escorts, when they come back from tours, and if they have enough time before they have to turn around and go out on another one, they often will go on and post pictures of the trip they just came back from. And that is so fun to see. They're all very good at taking the pictures, and so they're lovely, and just a really fun way to stay up with what's happening out on the road. Alrighty. And now it's time to start our tour preview presentation. You'll hear my voice along with the voice of another one of our great escorts, Mary Lou Hammond. She gets all the credit for the beautiful pictures you're about to see. It is a huge job to assemble all that's in this presentation, and she does an amazing and first-class job. So although we aren't taking the time to show you every tour in our tour book, you wouldn't want us to do that, but we are fortunate that having it on a DVD, we can do it a little more than we would do if it was our in-person travel meeting. We're not under the same time crunch that we would be if it were live, because we're always trying to hurry and get packed up and take everything to the next place and set it up again. This way we're able to show you a snippet of more tours than normal, which is really great. Plus, another benefit about watching it on a DVD is that when you want a break, or you want another iced tea, or you need to go to the bathroom, or you just want to pause for some reason, you can do that and then come back and pick it up later. You can also watch them multiple times. If you want to go back and take a closer look, we've had people tell us that when they watch these on the DVD, they kind of, there were some that they weren't really that interested in, but pictures or what we said caught their eye, and they ended up sitting back down, going back to it later. And I actually met some people out on tour this year that said, I'm on this one because I saw it on your DVD, would have never chosen it on my own, but really was interested and thought it looked fun. So a lot of good things can come from having this DVD, so we hope you'll use it. And as with our tour books and flyers, we have extra in the office. If you want one sent to someone else, just call us and tell us, and we'll be glad to get it out to them. The last thing I would say is just, again, a reminder that what we're going to show you in the pictures is still just a tip of what is involved in the itineraries of these tours. Just couldn't possibly show you everything that's in every tour, but I guarantee you that every one of our itineraries is loaded with an abundance of wonderful things you will love seeing and doing. That's why you need to call for the flyer. So, Mary Lou and I are ready to show you some beautiful pictures. I do have a few things to tell you after they're done, just as a little wrap up, so hang in there, and I'll be back when they're finished. But for now, sit back and enjoy. And we're ready to begin our slideshow for 2022. You're looking at one of our beautiful Campbell coaches that we use on all our tours. They are top of the line. They are beautiful inside and out. You can check out our sanitizing and cleaning procedures in the back of our tour book if you're interested. But we love traveling on our coaches, and you will too. Welcome back to the world of travel with TLC Tours. We are ready to go. And our first trip we're going to talk about is the Holland Tulip Festival in May. It's your chance to experience Holland without crossing the ocean. The award-winning Michigan city blossoms every year with hundreds of thousands of tulips, and we love to go see them. Celebrating this rich Dutch heritage, Holland's Tulip Festival has been around since 1929. You'll see cultural sites like these talented Klompen dancers you're looking at throughout our 3 days here. The largest tulip festival in the United States puts the city ablaze with color. You'll see an Amsterdam street organ, a hand-painted Dutch carousel, all the flags of the Netherlands, a replica of a Dutch inn. And one of the many delightful events we'll see is the Kinder Parade, where literally thousands of local children march in their favorite Dutch costumes. So cute. And on our guided tour of the scenic Tulip Lane Drive, we'll see Old Red Lighthouse. We'll have fun at Windmill Island in the Dutch Marketplaats, which is filled with demonstrations, Dutch vendors, and presentations. We'll enjoy dinners on the waterfront Snug Harbor Restaurant and Holland Civic Center. And one evening, we'll take our seats for a special feature show called Fiddle Fire, an exceptionally musical, talented family who perform with wholesome humor and charm. We also include a delicious meal at Cornwell's Turkey Farm, and before leaving town, we stop at the Veldeer Tulip Farm, where you'll have a chance to purchase some of Holland bulbs to take home with you to turn your yard into your own gorgeous masterpiece. Next is the International Tattoo. That's at the end of April. What on earth is a tattoo, you ask? At least, what's this kind of tattoo? Well, the Virginia International Tattoo is a masked spectacle of music and might presented in the massive Scope Arena and renowned as one of the world's greatest tattoos. It's known for sharing a profound sense of American pride and patriotism, presenting the sounds from military bands, masked pipes, and drums. You'll see Celtic dancers, choirs. You'll celebrating with friends and allies through extravagant pageantry of outstanding international performance. It really takes your breath away, especially when you hear their rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. This tour is centered around the towns of Virginia Beach and Norfolk and includes other wonderful touring. We consider it one of our finest shorter tours. You're looking here at the Nauticus Maritime Center, which we visit, and we'll tour the Virginia Aviation Museum and have lunch in the hangar, which is really fun. You'll be treated to a special air show and vintage flight demonstration. You'll take a tram tour of the gorgeous Norfolk Botanical Gardens. One day we'll set sail on an exciting dolphin watching cruise, and we stay right on the Virginia Beach boardwalk at an oceanfront hotel. This year we've included some free time to explore the area and enjoy it any way you wish. You can ride a bike, stroll the boardwalk, dip your toes in the ocean, buy the saltwater taffy, whatever you love most. It's truly a wonderful opportunity you will not forget, the International Tattoo of Virginia Beach. Dolly's Fabulous Flower and Food Festival. It's in May. Brand new for us this year is a visit to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for Dolly Parton's Fabulous Flower and Food Festival. A stunning atmosphere of over 500,000 vibrant and fragrant flowers, creating larger-than-life sculptures, arrangements, and landscapes. These scenes are equaled only by the array of specialty dishes crafted by Dolly's chef for this annual event. You'll see the umbrella sky high above Show Street. Enjoy refreshing springtime beverages such as watermelon lime and orange lemonade, and hear wonderful music throughout the park during their Melodies of Spring concert series. A real treat of this adventure is that we're staying 4 nights at Dolly's Dreammore Resort, where her personal touches are sprinkled throughout. You will love it here. But that's not all that's included. One evening we'll be guests at the fun-filled Hatfield and McCoy Dinner Theater, and another night we'll take our seats for the award-winning Country Tonight variety show. Did you know the Smoky Mountain National Park is the most visited national park in the United States? We'll be joined by a professional guide who will take us on a beautiful tour full of picturesque views. Have your cameras ready. We'll enjoy shopping at the Island. You're looking at it right there. We'll have dinners at the Applewood Farmhouse and Bullfish. So much more is included. Call for the full flyer and plan to join us for this refreshing springtime celebration. And then we go again in the summer, called Summertime in the Smokies. While we're talking about the Dreammore, we want to mention this other wonderful choice for touring this area. The end of August, we'll still stay at Dreammore, but the itinerary is different. On this one, we journey over the line one day to Asheville, North Carolina to visit the stunning Biltmore Estate, a 250-room French Renaissance castle built by the Vanderbilts in 1895. Ladies, it has 43 bathrooms. The massive gardens will be in bloom, and we include lunch in their stable cafe. Truly a fabulous day. Then new for us this year is a ride on the Shondola up the mountain park called Anakista. The views will take your breath away at the Firefly Village as you overlook Gatlinburg. One evening, we're guests at the fabulous Pirates Voyage Dinner Show. A full-size pirate ship awaits in 15-foot indoor deep lagoon. And the unbelievable show that Blackbeard and his mateys put on is a winner with our groups every time we've gone there. Another new addition to this year's itinerary is the Titanic Experience. Step into a replica of this massive ship, walk the hallways, look in the cabins, touch a real iceberg, and walk the grand staircase. Later, be guests for a private captain's dinner in the secret 3rd floor dining room. How fun is that? Whichever time of year you prefer to visit the majestic Smokies, you will not be disappointed. No matter what you see and do, it will be a vacation dreams are made of. A grand getaway on the Grand Strand in May. I personally think that Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is one of the most overlooked vacation destinations by us Northerners, and I'm not sure why. It has all the elements that are high priority on people's lists when choosing a coastal setting to visit, and actually more than most. Just look what's built into this excellent tour. Our time in Myrtle Beach is at the lovely Hampton Inn right on the ocean front. Step outside, stroll the beautiful sands, and soak up the carefree aura of the Atlantic. We visit Brook Green Gardens, where visitors are welcomed from around the world. It's a 300-acre National Historic Landmark with themed botanical gardens and wildlife preserve. We include their creek excursion on a pontoon boat on Murrells Inlet. And just for fun, we're showing you a picture of one of the restaurants we plan to eat at. You can't say you won't be having a new and unique experiences on this tour. The celebrated theaters in Myrtle Beach are one of its biggest pluses. It has become known for some of the finest productions anywhere, and we're seeing 2 top-rated ones on this tour. One evening will be at the Carolina Opry, the only theater to receive the Governor's Cup, and also designated as Most Outstanding Attraction by the state of South Carolina. Another evening will be found at the Alabama Theater, voted a top-rated show at Myrtle Beach year after year, probably partially because it's produced by the Gaylord Opryland Hotel in Nashville, and they only do things first class. It will be a magical journey full of extraordinary talent, sizzling visual elements, and extravagant costuming. Rest assured, this will be one of the best nights of live entertainment you'll ever experience. What fun at Hopsawee Plantation, an original low country rice plantation built in the early 1700s. We'll have a fascinating tour here, then lunch in their River Oak Tea Room. Experience the lush ecosystem found in this area on our marsh boat cruise as our captain narrates the sights we're viewing as we float down the inlet. And then, because I believe this destination is such a winner, we have a second opportunity to choose from, and it's called the Merry Myrtle Beach Show Tour in early November. Remember how I said the theaters are top-notch here? Well, at Christmas, they outdo themselves. Plus, the opportunities for holiday fun and entertainment is off the charts. This time, we're staying right on the oceanfront at the Beach Cove Oceanfront Resort with executive suites, a private balcony, and a kitchenette. You're looking there at the Carolina Opry, who present the Christmas Show of the South, a stunning production with over 35 trees, 5 miles of twinkling lights, and mounds of snow. The Barefoot Queen Dinner Cruise will find us on a 70-foot authentic riverboat for a beautiful evening of holiday enchantment. And then the Legends in Concert show is called the Ultimate Christmas Spectacular, and you'll see why from your reserved seats. It's one of our very favorite performance groups of all times, the Jersey Knights, music from Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and their Christmas special does not disappoint. At the Alabama Theater, they present the true meaning of Christmas, along with 2 hours of incredible music, comedy, and dance at the grandest Christmas show. And I could go on and on about what's included in this tour. There are other things that are just so special, such as a holiday tea and festival of trees at Ripley's Believe It or Not. We'll visit the Holiday Fantasy with holiday food and little gifts. We'll do Christmas shopping around a 27-acre lake at Barefoot Landing. We're going to have our very own shag lesson. How fun is that? You'll get free time along Myrtle Beach's famous boardwalk, and I'll stop now, but there's still more. Please call for the fully detailed flyer, and I really encourage you to make this a marvelous kickoff to your holiday season this year. It's going to be great, and we would love to have you go along. At the end of May is the Victorian Cape May Tour. Gaslights, gingerbread, and gorgeous ocean views. Cape May is New Jersey's jewel in the crown and looks like small-time America right out of a Norman Rockwell painting. We're staying 3 nights right on the coast at the Marquis de Lafayette with oceanfront rooms where you only have to unpack once. At your request, we have added an extra day this year so that you have plenty of free time to explore this quaint town any way you wish. You're looking at the wonderful outdoor Washington Mall. It's so pretty. And when I was there, I could have spent a couple days just roaming around here. A very fun time will be when we board the Cape May trolley for a narrated tour around this picturesque town's famous historic district. We'll stop to bask in the opulence of the 1879 Victorian Physic Estate as we tour the 15 authentically restored rooms, and then enjoy a lovely lunch at the vintage bistro set among the gardens. We'll step on board a vessel for a delightful island nature cruise and follow the beautiful coastline to view dolphins, birds, marine mammals, and sometimes even a whale. Fully narrated by experienced licensed captains and naturalists, it is a thrilling experience guaranteed. One day we'll go to Sunset Beach and hunt for Cape May diamonds. So fun. And what you find, you get to keep. At Cape May Point State Park, we'll have time for some great photo ops of the Cape May Lighthouse and the panoramic views on the other side. Other things are also included, so call for that detailed flyer, but one of them is our dinner at Aletha's, which you're looking at here. And when we visit the town of historic Smithville, we have lunch at Fred and Ethel's. An awful lot of beautiful scenic experiences are in this tour. Last year, we took 2 buses, and we're starting to get reservations for this one already, so don't wait to get your reservation in. It's a truly delightful opportunity.
We're going to take you to historic Bardstown in July. This is a little 3-day trip. It's just south of Louisville, Kentucky. And like the Cape May trip that Sharon just talked about, Bardstown, I think, is way too often overlooked, at least in my opinion. The major industry here is the production of bourbon, but that's not all there is to it. This quiet small town is the location that inspired Stephen Foster's My Old Kentucky Home. He visited here to his cousin just twice, but he loved it so much that he wrote the song that has endured as the state song of Kentucky. They even have a musical that they present that depicts his life story in the setting of an outdoor amphitheater. His music will have you singing along. You know, he wrote over 300 songs, and he's known as the father of American music. And did you know that he was a native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? An experience of Epicurean proportions awaits us as we board the Old Kentucky Home dinner train. Sit back and relax, because you're going to enjoy a 4-course, freshly prepared gourmet meal in a very elegant setting. It's served aboard these luxurious 1940s vintage dining cars. Our journey from Bardstown will travel through the beautiful Kentucky countryside, and you're going to see the Jim Beam Distillery. You'll get to see Jesse James's hideout, the Jackson Hollow Trestle, and the Bernheim Forest. We're going to get to meet Jonesy. You can see him there. He's going to take us for a carriage ride through downtown Bardstown. We're going to get to see it up close and personal. Jonesy has been riding us around for a long time now. Since Bardstown is considered the bourbon capital of the world, I want you to hear how Willett's Distillery, which we're going to visit, describes their product. Now listen to this. Nose is sweet, herbal, citrus. The palate is herbaceous, sweet fruit, vanilla on a layer of oak and earthiness that goes on like a marathon runner. Doesn't that sound like dessert or a poet? But not bourbon, but they're talking about their bourbon. Visit there. We're going to get on, and this is coming home. On the way home, we're going to go to Louisville, Kentucky, and we'll say our final goodbye to Bardstown with a picnic-style lunch cruise on the Belle of Louisville on the Ohio River. Anybody wondering what herbaceous sweet fruit is? Great Texas Roundup. Without a doubt, one of my favorites. This trip has so much variety and something to look forward to every single day. Bluebonnets are the state flower of Texas. And of course, they're very, very well known because of Lady Bird Johnson. We're going to be seeing, as we stay in Dallas, we're going to go to South Fork. Who shot JR? Does this one look familiar? From 1978 to 1991, the TV show Dallas kept us all on the edge of our seats. It's still popular today in many countries, and it is still a tourist mecca. So we're going to go there for a tour. We'll have a delicious dinner, and we do have a serenade by a cowboy. We'll do some touring in Dallas with a professional guide, and we'll have a visit to Dealey Plaza and the 6th floor museum in the Texas Book Depository. Kennedy was shot from the window of the 6th floor. You can see it up there. From there, we go over to Fort Worth to the Stockyards. The Stockyards are home to the world's only authentic cattle drive, and the whole area is on the Register of Historic Places. Twice a day, this herd of longhorns are driven through the streets, so we get to experience what once was a very common occurrence. So worth it. And the barbecue is good too. We're headed down to Waco. We'll make a stop at the Texas Ranger Museum and Library. This is the official historical center of the Texas Rangers, and it's on the banks of the Brazos River. Any of you who watched the series Lonesome Dove, these areas are going to be familiar to you. Their museum here in Waco and their Hall of Fame is wonderful, especially if you're interested in that kind of history and guns. They have so many of the old guns. While we're there in Waco, we're going to go for lunch and a little bit of shopping at a place called the Silos. It doesn't look like much, does it? But you might recognize Chip and Joanna Gaines from the show Fixer Upper. It's a very popular HGTV series. As a matter of fact, it is now called the Magnolia Network because they have it. They own it now. It's an extremely popular tourist destination. We'll take time for lunch here and have some shopping. They have a food court that's a food truck court and places there where you can sit and eat outdoors. It's beautiful. They also have 6 different boutiques there. Moving on to San Antonio, we have 3 nights on the Riverwalk, and that is something to look forward to for sure. Our local guide will show us around her city, beginning with the Alamo. The surprise here is you're in the middle of San Antonio, not out in the middle of nowhere. We treat it like a church because of its history and the fact that it is a mission, one of 7 in this area. We'll also visit the Mission San Jose, still an active church, but part of our National Historical Park System, as is the Alamo. You can get a stamp here in your NPS book if you have one. We'll also be visiting the San Fernando Cathedral. This was founded in 1731, and it is beautiful, and it's only a block from our hotel. But we get to tour the inside with our guide, and then at night you can walk over to see the most awesome laser show ever. It depicts the history of Texas on the face of the cathedral. Our hotel is central to many things and very walkable. Do I need to tell you this is one of my favorite places? The colors, the music, the shops, the restaurants. Time here for lunch and shopping at the Mercada, or the Mexican market. Moving away from San Antonio out into the hill country for a day with our step-on guide, we travel to Fredericksburg. It has an obvious German heritage and was the home of Admiral Chester Nimitz. He was commander-in-chief of the Pacific Fleet during World War II. The National Museum of the Pacific War was named one of the top 5 history museums in the United States. We get to spend some time there. We're also going to have some time in the downtown area for some lunch and a little shopping before we visit the LBJ Ranch. This place held a very deep attachment for President Johnson. It's where he was born, where he died, where he lived, where he was buried. And his wife, Lady Bird, continued to live there part-time until her death in 2007. It will bring back memories for many of us. Our grand finale today is the Knibbie Ranch for a cowboy dinner and entertainment. The Knibbie is an authentic Texas working cattle ranch. Yippee-ki-yay. Moving on to Galveston the next day, and our hotel is right on the Gulf of Mexico. It has the most amazing sunsets. There's going to be free time here to relax and explore, although we do take part of a day to visit the Space Center in Houston. And there is so much here to see. Interactive exhibits, an enormous area, gift shops, but then you take the tram tour that takes you out in amongst some of the missile sites, and also you get to see Mission Control. Now we have to leave Texas and we're headed home. And the thing about this Texas trip is that there always seems to be something more to look forward to the next day. And on this particular day, we get to cross the Houston Shipping Channel. And yes, we put that bus on a ferry. And we visit a genuine cotton plantation, get to pick cotton if you want to, and we settle in for the night in a hotel that overlooks the Mississippi River. And we go for dinner at this antebellum home run by 2 guys from New York City. It's called Choctaw. Then the next day, before we leave, we're going to go to Stanton Hall and Rosalie Hall, which are both antebellum mansions. We'll do that in the morning, and we will have lunch in the carriage house here at Stanton Hall before we head out. And last but not least, an adventure on Lookout Mountain to see Rock City. On a clear day from up there at that point, you can see 7 states. So this Texas trip, 13 days in October, don't overlook it. It is truly beautiful. It's my turn to do it this year. Mackinac Island. We're going to be there twice this year. Very similar trips, once in June and another time in September. We'll be staying at the Murray Hotel in the downtown area, right in the thick of it all. More fudge shops than you could count. And it's a beautiful time of year because the lilacs are still blooming. Our time is going to allow us to get acquainted with the island and do some shopping, maybe rent a bicycle. You can ride 8 miles around the island and it's all pretty much flat. Or maybe you want to visit more of the historic buildings or just sit and enjoy the weather and relax. Our island tour is going to begin with a carriage tour. Transportation here is by foot, bicycle, or horse. There are no motor vehicles unless it's an emergency. The tour is going to take us through the state park and the cemetery, but Arch Rock here in the state park, which overlooks the lake, is one of the favorite stops on the tour. It's going to end up at the Mackinac Fort. And that's an adventure in itself. You're going to have tickets to get in and enjoy the fort. They have all kinds of demonstrations that show you, for instance, how the soldiers were trained and how they shot their guns and the orders. And they have a huge parade ground that you get to sit in the comfort of wooden benches and watch it. It's really a lot of fun to do. The view of the harbor from there is spectacular, especially since the lilacs will still be blooming. Then if you look for those yellow umbrellas that you see in the picture, that's the best vantage point to see the harbor. And that's also where you can have lunch if you want to. Or you could get downtown for lunch. There are so many places down there to eat, all kinds of different restaurants, any that you would imagine, in addition to all the fudge shops and the souvenir shops. Or you can just people watch. But no matter where you go on the island in June, you're going to see more different kinds of lilacs than you would ever imagine. And they are beautiful and how they smell good. Lunch at the Grand Hotel. It's an unforgettable experience. There's no way to explain it adequately. You have to see it to believe it. But wait, let me try. Fabulous, extravagant, lavish, bountiful, famous. Do you get the idea? If you're not a hotel guest or a patron, you have to pay $15 just to go and sit on the porch. It is the longest porch in the world. It's over 600 feet long. We crossed the Mighty Mac Bridge twice. It's one of the longest suspension bridges in the world, 5 miles long. Connects the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to the Mitten of Michigan. You may hear it referred to as the UP or up north. So now you'll know what they're talking about. And we're going to get to stop at Frankenmuth on the way home. Now, the fall trip is pretty much a mirror image of the summer one, except for you get to enjoy some of the changing of the leaves. So depending upon when it's convenient for you, you might want to take a look at Mackinac. The Purple Moose. This goes in June. Did you ever wonder where they come up with the names for some of these trips? It's the lupines here. The Franconia Notch area of the White Mountains in New Hampshire is where they celebrate the lupines that bloom there during the month of June. In Lincoln, New Hampshire, we'll have a never-to-be-forgotten dinner experience on the Café Lafayette dinner train. Beautiful sunsets are no extra charge. We are going to travel the Kankamagus Highway, which is Route 112 in the heart of the scenic White Mountains. 34.5 miles of the best scenery in New England, designated as an American Scenic Byway. Sugar Hill, New Hampshire is the headquarters for the festival, and they go all out to welcome the many visitors who arrive each year. But we'll have a step-on guide to help us find the best picture stops. This area is one of the most photographed spots in New England, and the land they're on is protected by a land trust. One of the many photo ops will be the Albany Covered Bridge and a place called Rocky Gorge. We'll travel the Kankamagus Highway, one again of the most scenic highways in America. One day, we'll go to the Omni Mount Washington Hotel, built in 1900, and was a favorite retreat of both presidents and celebrities. We have an elegant buffet there. Emphasis on elegant. Understand the whole time we're here, we're on the lookout for moose. Who knows if and when we'll find one, but this is what we're looking for. The Cannon Mountain Tram takes us, to the top of Cannon Mountain. Spectacular views. On a clear day, it allows you to see Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Canada. sometimes, but oh, what a ride. The coup de grace, a 3-hour moose hunt. We go with a professional guide in their vehicle who knows the area, and they go during the late evening, and we are on the hunt for a moose. So if you've ever wondered just how these names get chosen, look at this photo. You see that? Doesn't it kind of look like that moose has purple legs? Georgia, 8 days in May. Always a favorite trip of mine. Ready to get out and go where it's warm and sunny. The first stop is Charleston, South Carolina. It's a charming southern city, slower paced, laid back, relaxing. No one is in a hurry here. We have a carriage tour drawn by horses, and we go through the historic district to look for wrought iron gates and the rainbow-colored houses. We'll also visit the only tea plantation in America. We'll have some free time to explore the Charleston market, get some lunch, and shop for locally hand-woven seagrass baskets, or maybe some pralines or jewelry designed specifically with that area in mind. They take the wrought iron gates and they use the same designs to make necklaces, earrings, and so on. We will travel to see St. John's Church. This is when we are in Savannah. We'll take a narrated trolley tour through their historic district and have some of the 16 cobblestone squares and parks. They're shaded with live oaks and draped with Spanish moths. We'll be able to see the squares that were laid out by Oglethorpe, 16 of them, each individually different from one another. One of them has this beautiful fountain in it, and of course, it's called Fountain Square. When we get to see John the Baptist Church, you'll see that it's a Gothic Revival cathedral, and it seems to be right in the center of everything. Our tour will show us some of the many antebellum homes in this truly unique city, and we can sample some Southern cuisine at Paula Deen's restaurant. We'll go down to Jekyll Island, one of the barrier islands or the sea islands. We'll have 3 nights oceanfront on Jekyll Island with time to familiarize ourselves and do some relaxing. This area of Jekyll Island is the Men's Club, and it's considered a National Historic Landmark. Now imagine this. People like Rockefeller, Morgan, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, they came here in the summer season just to enjoy the weather. And it was only 6 weeks during the summer that these were occupied. We get a tram tour throughout the grounds of the Men's Club, and it's going to show us just how the rich and famous lived while they were here. P.S. The houses don't have kitchens. The meals were all taken in the clubhouse, and we get to eat there as well for an evening meal. Part of a day, we're going to go over to St. Simon's Island for a guided tour and stop at Christ Church. We'll have some time to look around downtown, visit the lighthouse if you want. Eugenia Price is buried at Christ Church. The best part, and one that's not too common for us, we have a free day to enjoy the island. You can rent a bike or a scooter or a golf cart if you want to go to the beach. You can go to the shopping plaza, and you stay at the hotel pool. You can wash clothes if you want to, or sleep in. You can do whatever you want. Or you could go to the Driftwood Beach, which is one of the beaches along here. It's 7 miles of these wonderful, beautiful trees, the live oak trees they've been encroached on by the sand and the salt water, and it kills them, and they just lay there. It's truly a jaw-dropping experience. We don't want to, but we have to leave. You're never going to forget Jekyll Island, and you will want to come back, but we have to head home. We're going to be traveling to Atlanta, and we will have a guided driving tour of the city, including places like the Martha Mitchell House and the Olympic Grounds, the Capitol, several different areas within the city of Atlanta. And we will have an up-close and personal experience with Stone Mountain. Get to meet some Confederate generals. Colorado Rockies, trains and national parks. This is another one of my favorite trips. It's in June, and it's 12 days. And we never know when we get there, but we're certainly hoping that they will have just cleared the pass from snow. and hopefully we'll get to see some sheep and mountain goats. We're also going to spend the day on what they call the Ridge Trail. And we will start at one side on the southern end of it and go to the northern end at Estes Park. So we'll have a really, really good view of everything on the Ridge Trail along Rocky Mountain National Park. We're also, the next day, going to head west, and we'll go through Glenwood Canyon. We're going to have a stop first at Lookout Mountain to pay our respects to Buffalo Bill Cody. Yes, he's buried there. And there's also a very neat museum as well. Today is another for exceptional mountain views because we're going to pass through Glenwood Canyon on our way to Grand Junction. There's 13 and a half miles of 1,300-foot walls climbing above the Colorado River. It's a beautiful drive. We're going to check into the hotel in Grand Junction, have a pleasant dinner in Oliver's, and we're going to make our way not too far away to the Colorado National Monument for a jaw-dropping 23-mile journey along what they call the Rimrock Drive. Now we're going to be looking for mountain lion or bighorn sheep and maybe even bobcat. The road that you're looking at there was constructed by the CCC back in the 1930s. From Grand Junction, we're going to head down to Mesa Verde, one of the largest archaeological preserves in the United States. They have over 50,000 acres of cliff dwellings and pueblos built by ancestral Pueblo people over 700 years ago. We have a wonderful local guide who will show us some of the dwellings as well as a view of Cliff Palace, which is one of the more famous ones. It's astounding. And her company name is Talks a Lot Tours. So you can just imagine. From there, we're going to spend the night in Durango, and the next morning we're going to board a narrow steam gauge train from Durango to Silverton. We'll travel along the Animas River up through the San Juan Mountains to Silverton. This is an unforgettable trek, and we'll go down then into the mining town of Silverton. We'll have lunch there and time to explore this truly Western town. They even have wooden sidewalks, if there are sidewalks, and they don't have a whole lot of them. Our next stop is, after an evening and a night in Montrose, Colorado, we're going to head east with a stop at the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. This is the third smallest national park that we have, but it's not any less impressive. So just don't look down, you'll get dizzy. From there, we're going to the Royal Gorge. In order to reach this train, we travel along the Blue Mesa Reservoir, which is Colorado's largest body of water. And then we board the railroad for a trip along the Arkansas River through the gorge. We'll be in domed rail cars on this one, so you get to see a lot. Our next 2 nights are in Colorado Springs. The Pikes Peak Cog Railway has been reopened, and everything in it and on it is new. The tracks, the cars, up at the top, everything. It travels 14,100 foot to the top of Pikes Peak. It is the world's highest cog railway, and the view at the top is breathtaking. And, by the way, it's 30 degrees colder up there than it is at the bottom. The inspiration for the song America the Beautiful came from a woman who was at the top of this mountain, and she then wrote America the Beautiful. It's often described up there as the gateway to heaven. We have a treat that day. We're going to go to dinner at the Flying W Ranch, and we're going to have some entertainment there. It's a cowboy type experience, an authentic Western stage show, performed there since 1953. It's a working mountain ranch and a Western heritage site. They were closed for a couple years when they had those bad fires in Colorado. It completely leveled the ranch, and they have since rebuilt. That same day, that busy day that we have with Pikes Peak and the ranch, we're also going to be able to see the Garden of the Gods. This registered national landmark is one magical stop. Aside from the geological history, just know that they are sandstone rocks of every conceivable and inconceivable size and shape, and they're all bright red, motionless, and silent. Pictures there and a stop at the oldest gift shop in Colorado. There is no way to fully appreciate this trip until you've experienced it, but there's no other to compare the breathtaking beauty. Just think about all of the mountains and all of the national parks and all of those wonderful train rides that we've had. We're going to go back over here to the East Coast. In September, we have a 7-day trip. There are so many trips that we have to New England and over in that area that it is really hard to keep them all straight. I think that probably you just have to look at each one and decide which one holds the most interest for you. The name implies on this one, we're going to concentrate on boats and trains. And we begin in Essex, Connecticut for a steam train ride up the Connecticut River Valley. 2.5 hours of a narrated journey on vintage rail cars. And we're going to head to Mystic Seaport. We're going to have an opportunity to board a whaling ship. The whole thing is a colonial village, and it's designed to show what life was like in those times. In this whaling ship, you get on it and you learn exactly what was involved to go find the whales, capture the whales, kill the whales, capture them, and harvest them. Sometimes these boats were at sea for as much as 2 or more years they were gone. The Old Mystic Seaport also does other things there. I mean, as I said, it's recreated as far as a colonial village. They do boat restoration and building. They teach sailing, other crafts that might have been experienced during the colonial times you'll be able to see there. We were there 2 years ago, I think it was, and there was a boat in a building that was all in shrouds and we didn't know what it was. Then we went on up to Boston or to Plymouth, and we found out that the Mayflower was down at Mystic, and they were restoring the Mayflower, getting it ready for the 400th anniversary. So that was about 2 years ago. And there it was, all in shrouds, and we didn't even know it was there. But we're going to head to Boston, and this trip includes a city tour of Boston as well as a harbor cruise. And we learn about the past, the present, and the future of the city of Boston from this. North again, we head up into New Hampshire, overlooking Lake Winnipesaukee in the distance there. This is the Castle in the Clouds. It's a 16-room mansion, and we're going to take a tour of the mansion. There are 3 mountain ranges that surround that area. Then we're going to go over to the lake, and we're going to get on a train, and we're going to ride the train to catch the boat. So we'll go from the Lake Winnipesaukee Railroad to the MS Mount Washington, and we'll have a lunch cruise on the lake on the Mount Washington. Lake Winnipesaukee is the largest lake in the state of New Hampshire. From there, we're at Portland, and we're going to take a cruise. Casco Bay is the area that we'll be cruising in, and we're going through the Calendar Islands. The Calendar Islands, the mail and everything that they have in respect to anything that they need is delivered by this boat, including, their supplies, everything. Then part of what we're going to see there are several lighthouses in the area, but the granddaddy of them all is this one, and that is the Portland Headlight. And it has an entirely different perspective. If you've ever seen it from land, when you're in Portland, you're going to be looking at it from the water. We're also that day going to have some free time in Portland at the harbor front and be able to look around there too. Also in Portland, they have a 2-gauge railroad. It truly takes you back in time. And they also have a museum there that is very nice. But this particular narrow gauge line helped connect rural Maine to the rest of the world. Now, this is the other lighthouse. These 2 lighthouses are so different, and they are each iconic and beautiful in their own way. But it's strange because they both lay claim to being the most photographed lighthouse on the East Coast. So we're going to let you decide which one you like the best.
Enchanting New Island, home of the rich and famous. It's the end of July, and brand new for us this year. It's a very special tour into New York State that features Sag Harbor, North Fork, Westbury, and the ritzy Hamptons. During the Gilded Age, these beautiful shores attracted the wealthy and earned it the title of the Gold Coast. I only have time to show a few highlights, but it is a loaded itinerary full of things you've likely not seen before. Here's a little sampling. You're looking at the Sag Harbor downtown, and we're going to visit some of the most popular towns on this island, from the quaint artist haven called Sag Harbor to the posh celebrity hangouts such as East Hampton. We'll have excellent local guides with us who can fill us in on all the scoop of the many places we'll visit. You will not believe the prices in some of these stores, and the people walk out with bags. We'll tour through the seaside communities. We'll go past pristine beaches. We'll visit magnificent gardens. We'll see picturesque vineyards that this area is known for. It's considered one of the top 10 wine regions in the world, in fact. Yes, in the world. And although many famous celebrities have homes here on Long Island, they do their best to hide them far away from the public eye, understandably. But we'll hear their stories, get a glimpse of a few, and definitely see their driveways. Other exceptional touring will include the top-rated whaling museum that you're looking at there, the striking Montauk Point Lighthouse, which was commissioned by George Washington in 1792. You'll enjoy a photo op here. And on our fascinating Gold Coast tour, we'll step back in time when the North Shore was a virtual who's who of society and inspired the novel The Great Gatsby. We'll even get to tour one of the grandest, Oheka Castle. Cooper's Beach in Southampton is considered one of America's top 10 beaches, and you'll see why when you glimpse it for yourself. It is gorgeous. The Long Island Aquarium is one of the country's finest, and we'll be guests for a private dinner there. How fun is that? Plus time to peruse the displays featuring unique fish from the waters around Long Island. Once again, there's so much more than I have time to tell, but this is a tour that's definitely out of the ordinary, and we are so happy to be able to offer it this year. Call for the detailed flyer and consider making it one of your 2022 adventures. The Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular. And as you would guess, that's in July. One of the country's largest and oldest Independence Day celebrations. We are so excited to travel to Boston, Mass. To see and hear the world-renowned Boston Pops Orchestra live and in person. Because this is one of the largest outdoor events in the country, we're doing it smartly and will actually be attending the rehearsal concert the night before, on the 3rd, when the massive crowds have not yet arrived. Then the next night, on the 4th, we'll take our seats on the banks of the nearby Charles River and listen again to the regal concert and watch the breathtaking, dazzling fireworks high over the esplanade from our safely distanced vantage point. Now, you know us, we would never go all the way to Boston and not do some excellent touring that's available there. On our historic sightseeing spree, we'll see Beacon Hill, Quincy Market. We'll follow some of the Freedom Trail. We'll see the State House and later visit the Charleston Navy Yard, where we'll tour a World War II Navy destroyer. Wow. And a very special event will be our Spirit of Boston brunch cruise as we follow the United States Constitution, also known as Old Ironsides, from her dock at Navy Yard for her once-a-year cruise to turn the ship around for repositioning for the coming year, along with a 21-gun salute by the ship's cannon. How special! It is a treasured opportunity in itself and a true memory maker. We'll get a look at the Kennedy years at the JFK Presidential Library. We'll visit Old North Church and as much more sightseeing as time allows. This fireworks spectacular event culminates with their annual performance of the Stars and Stripes Forever and is famous for the unfurling of the American flag as the song enters its final moments. A magnificent and moving experience guaranteed. Now, I do have to mention two things before we leave this trip. At the time we're making this video, there is a vaccine mandate for anything indoors in Boston, which means that this trip has to be run vaccinated only. Feel free to check with the office to see if the mandate is lifted, but as for now, we have no choice but to do it this way. And then second, there is considerable walking necessary for this tour. Where you have to park to get up to the concert is a fair hike, and the terrain there, it is not navigable for wheelchairs or walkers. We have no control over either of these things, and really thank you for understanding. New England's Summer by the Sea. It's in July. There's something incredibly magical about summertime along New England's stunning coast. People from all over the world are drawn to this majestic part of our country. On this picturesque tour, we not only do a variety of excellent inland touring, We eagerly traverse some of the most beautiful waterfront areas you'll ever see. We begin in the yachting capital of the world, Rhode Island. On the stunning 10-mile ocean drive, we enter the opulent era of the Gilded Age, where elite families like the Vanderbilts and Astors built their summer cottages. We'll tour the one you're looking at, the Breakers. It is just unreal. We stay 2 nights in Yarmouth, Cape Cod, and have a wonderful tour of both the Outer and Lower Cape. At the Cape Cod National Seashore, we'll gaze in awe at the spectacular cliffs overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. We'll get acquainted with Provincetown, and then it's all aboard for an exciting whale watch cruise to view these majestic animals as they frolic in the waters. Totally spectacular. Hyannisport is home to the famous Kennedy clan, and we'll view their compound, the Kennedy Memorial, and St. Xavier's Church, among other things in this area. Our travels down Old Kings Highway will find us winding through some of the oldest villages in America. See historic New England architecture, quaint inns, and have your cameras ready. One day we'll check out famous Plymouth Rock, which I always say is really kind of Plymouth Pebble, but it is Plymouth Rock, the Mayflower too, and beautiful Plymouth Harbor. So much to learn about here that I'll bet you didn't know. In Salem, learn of the 1602 witchcraft trials and see the famous House of Seven Gables that you're looking at here. Rockport is that quintessential village where colorful fishermen shacks, trinket shops, and the lively Bradley Wharf await to fill your senses with true New England enchantment. We'll board the famous Thomas E. Lannon 65-foot schooner for a thrilling sailing adventure. Help the crew hoist the sails, or just sit back and enjoy the ocean breeze. Either way, it is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you'll remember forever. The popular summer resort town of Kennebunkport along the coast provides a scenic drive out to Walker's Point, where former George Bush and Barbara lived. And in seaside Algonquin, which means beautiful place by the sea, we board a ship called the Finest Kind and embark on an actual lobstering experience with a real Maine lobsterman. How fun is that? Later, a traditional New England lobster bake will be our treat as we don our bibs and eat like the locals. So fun. You're looking there at the Nubble Lighthouse, which we'll see at Cape Nettic, but I didn't have time to show you our visit to Sandwich and the Fountain of Youth, the charming village of Chatham and their iconic lighthouse, Gloucester, America's oldest seaport and working harbor filled with lobster boats, and more. So again, I encourage you to give us a call and have the fully detailed flyer sent to you. Then call back with your reservations so you don't miss this wonderful chance to take this tour with us. It's genuinely a top-notch itinerary. Oh, Nashville and Memphis City duet. Such beautiful towns filled with music and history galore. We've combined 2 of these popular destinations into one outstanding adventure to make an opportunity you're guaranteed to love. In Nashville, we stay 3 nights at the outstanding Opryland Hotel. It's a world of its own with 9 acres of indoor gardens, plus an indoor river in which we give you a ticket for a boat ride there. We actually give you a map so you can find your way around this complex. It's honestly awesome here. Such great Nashville touring we'll be doing. A beautiful luncheon cruise is included on the General Jackson's Showboat. They have musical performances that are always top-notch. We'll have time at the outstanding Country Music Hall of Fame. You have to see this place to believe it. Can you tell there in the front, it's actually like a piano keyboard, or the windows set up. It's wonderful there. So much to see and do. Never have enough time. Our guided tour of Nashville will include Music Row, the Parthenon, Ryman Auditorium, the historic downtown that you're looking at, and a backstage tour of the Opry House, where you can stand where the stars stand as they perform. One evening, we spent at one of our favorites, the Nashville Nightlife Dinner Theater, and another evening, we have dinner at Paula Dean's Opry Mill restaurant. But a real highlight will be our evening with Tier 1 seating at the Grand Ole Opry for incredible entertainment by artists both old and new. Always a very special experience. Then on we go to Memphis, birthplace of the blues and the second largest city in Tennessee next to Nashville. We include a ticket for the Elvis experience when we visit his former home, Graceland. So much to see and do there. We enjoy some free time to explore famous Beale Street and have dinner. Maybe you'll choose to eat at The Pig. We stay at the guest house Graceland and in the morning are joined by a local guide for a Memphis highlights tour before journeying to Louisville, Kentucky for our last overnight and a very interesting tour at the Louisville Slugger Museum. This music duo tour is deluxe all the way through. Our folks love it every year, and you will too. Now, while we're talking about Nashville, let me mention our very popular Christmas tour at the Opryland Hotel. We stay 3 nights here, and the things we see and do are absolutely exceptional in every way. For 2022, the featured Christmas dinner show is the much-loved quartet, the Oak Ridge Boys in concert. Here are the favorites we know them best for, plus their fabulous harmonies crooning the Christmas melodies that are near and dear to our hearts this time of year. It's a wonderful evening for sure. Also, we'll set sail on the General Jackson Showboat for lunch and their marvelous holiday production that's always one of the best anywhere. We'll have a guided Nashville tour and an evening at the Nashville Nightlight Dinner Theater, and plenty of free time to enjoy all the hotel offers during the season. The extraordinary decorations alone are completely captivating. You will be truly immersed in a sparkling world of Christmas magic. But don't wait too long to get your reservation in. We often sell out 2 full buses, so don't miss your chance to join us this year. Nashville Country Christmas.
We love the Smokies. You've already seen the 2 trips that we've had for the summertime, but especially this time of year, the Smokies are absolutely beautiful with the leaf changing and all the beautiful decorations. We're going to have 3 nights in Pigeon Forge in this trip, a tour of the national park, and we get to spend a day in Dollywood. We have a whole day in the park to explore and enjoy everything that goes on. And don't forget to try some cinnamon bread. And they also have a wonderful pumpkin walk. No matter how many times I go back to Dollywood, I always find something that I didn't see before. The really special thing about this time of year is that the Gospel Music Festival is in full swing, and they have so many different venues to choose from. These shows are a little bit less lengthy than normal, and they allow for taking in several while we're there. So all you have to do is decide which ones. We're going to take some time and go to Gatlinburg to enjoy some of their fall decorations. Last year, I saw a Facebook post where a bear was sitting in the middle of downtown Gatlinburg eating one of their pumpkins that they had on display. So we'll spend some time in downtown Gatlinburg. They have an Appalachian Craft Festival that's going on at the convention center. That's one option. You can ride the Skylift or Uber Gatlinburg to the top of the mountain. What a view it is up there. Or you can browse the shops that are downtown. You can buy a uniquely Smoky Mountain gift. We're going to have some time for some shows. We'll see Country Tonight. It's an award-winning family-friendly variety show that will fill you and have you tapping your toes. We also have tickets to the Patty Wozniak morning show. She is so amazing. She's a comedian to begin with. I don't know if she's supposed to be, but she's so funny. And she is a very talented musician. I think there are only 2 instruments that she cannot play. We're going to go to the Pirates Voyage and enjoy a dinner show there. Now, what's not to love about pirates swinging to and fro over the water while you eat? There's the pirate show. And headed home on this one in the fall, we're going to stop in Berea, Kentucky, and we're going to have dinner at the Boone Tavern Inn, which is really a special treat and a unique experience. It's kind of like the icing on the cake before we have to go home. Now, Christmas, I did the Smoky Mountain Autumn Tour. And then I enjoyed myself so much because I hadn't been there in a while. I went back and I did the Christmas one, the Smoky Mountain Christmas. That's 4 days in November. And I went back to Dollywood. What a transformation. The best Christmas event at any theme park worldwide. It was voted the best. Everything is lit up and decorated for the holidays. There's always something new to see and places to explore. They have over 4 million lights, miles of garland, and holiday wreaths. The chapel in the Wildwood Grove will have a different Christmas show than it did earlier. And don't forget the fireworks. It's a wonderful time to do some Christmas shopping. This group is called the Kingdom Heirs, and they're one of my favorite shows. They have been performing here at Dollywood for over 20 years. And of course, no visit to Dollywood would be complete without a steam train ride, decorated all up for Christmas. We'll also visit the Smoky Mountain Moonshine Distillery, Bush Beans. Yes, I said Bush Beans. Take a side trip to the foothills to do that. And it really was a lot of fun. Then we'll go to the Grand Majestic Theater one evening, and another evening we'll do the Dixie Stampede dinner show. One night, we're going to have a driving tour of the Christmas lights for Pigeon Forge, and then we'll go over into Gatlinburg and see theirs. When Pigeon Forge first started doing the decorated streets, they went, guess where they went? Let me put it that way. Guess where they went to get advice on how to do those decorations? Well, they went to Ogilvy Park in West Virginia, which is not too awfully far away from us. There are 4 trips into the Smokies this year, and they're all very unique. So compare the itineraries and see which one, or maybe 2, might suit your taste. Crooked Road. We have crooked roads in Ohio. We have crooked roads in Pennsylvania. We certainly have them in West Virginia. But this particular crooked road is 300 miles of scenic crooked roads in Southwest Virginia, and they wind through the Blue Ridge section of the Appalachian Mountains. It truly is a crooked road. Traditional gospel music, bluegrass, and mountain music heard today has been passed down from generations and lives on through musicians and instrument makers along what they call the Heritage Music Trail on the Blue Ridge, like this one, which is a fiddle shop. They actually make the fiddles there. We're going to have an overnight at the Floyd Hotel, and we'll be enjoying music from the back of the hotel in an amphitheater. We'll have dinner at the Pine Tavern, which is just off the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're going to hum to bluegrass music and see a production of Murder on the Orient Express at the Barter Theater, which is one of the oldest theaters. We are going to have a tour of an area called Abingdon. There'll be a local guide with us, and we're going to have dinner at the Martha Washington Inn. Bristol Motor Speedway. You know, this is kind of like the birthplace of NASCAR racing. And this particular one, the Bristol Motor Speedway, is a NASCAR short track built in 1960, and it's considered the world's fastest half mile. It's also called one of the loudest half miles. And guess what? We're going to take a lap around the Motor Speedway. We'll also get to see, they have 2 different pits, one on each side, and they also have a drag racing area called Thunder Valley. And that's a 1/4-mile track, by the way. Now, June Carter Cash was born in this area. The Carter Family Fold is what they call it. It's a rustic shed-type theater, and it's really considered hallowed ground to country music fans because the Carter family lived here, and their roots run pretty deep in that area. Their music is performed using only acoustic instruments, and we'll have a fun evening of music and dancing. We will also stop at the Heartwood Cultural Center and Draper Mercantile and Trading Company to look around. So if you're a lover of music and mountains, small towns, friendly people, this is your hidden gem. If you've been to the Biltmore, but you haven't been there at Christmas, or if you've never been to the Biltmore, our Biltmore Christmas is a wonderful trip to take. It's 4 days in November. It's truly a dreamlike experience, mainly because of the amount of time that we get to spend to enjoy just the Biltmore. And it's a wonderful time of the year. The Biltmore is America's largest home, extremely lavishly decorated. This is a 35-foot Fraser fir, and it's replaced at least once between the time they put it up and Christmas, because once the needles start to fall, they take it down and then they put up a fresh one. They use over 100 Christmas trees throughout the Biltmore and miles of garland. But we get a whole different perspective when we come back tonight because we tour the house during the day. And we spend the day on the property, enjoying Antler Village and the winery. Then we have lunch at Deer Park, which used to be a barn. And then we come back in the evening for a candlelit tour of the Biltmore. But first, before we do the tour, we eat in the stable where they kept their carriage horses. And it's funny because some of the stalls for the carriage horses have been made into booths. So it's really a neat place. Then back into the Biltmore, it's a whole different atmosphere. You have low light, music, soft music playing everywhere. Sometimes it's a harpist. Sometimes it's a guitar, piano. Sometimes they have a choir there or someone else just singing singular. It's just beautiful. We also have another special treat. We get to visit the Grove Park Inn, and this place is amazing. Every year they have a gingerbread house decorating contest for all ages from all over the world, not just local, but all over the world. We have lunch here and time to look around and judge the houses for ourselves. This is the most simplistic house I could find. It's one of the children's entries. Now, just one more note about the Biltmore. We're going to spend time with a walking tour of Asheville, and we're going to have dinner and entertainment at the Blue Ridge Mountain Opry. But if, like I said, if you have been to the Biltmore and not seen it at Christmas, this is so worthwhile to go and see it again because it's a totally different perspective on the Biltmore. It is a beautiful time. Don't miss it. Appalachian Mountain Magic. That's a trip that we have done for a long time, and it most always fills up, sometimes maybe with more than one bus. And we thought about it and decided that we would go back and do this, not just in the fall with the colors, but in the summer. So this year there are 2 trips, and they are actually mirror images of one another. We've added a summer trip. Okay, it goes in July. It's 4 days. The other one is in October, and it's 4 days. And I know that some of you have gone multiple times on the fall trip, or for whatever reason, if you can't travel in the fall. So this gives you a different opportunity and a very beautiful one at that. So can you hear the mountains calling? Which one shall you choose, July or October? This is the new Tigert Flyer. On this 4-hour trip, we're going to travel to the high falls of the Cheat River. This excursion features mountain grades, an S-curve tunnel, and a high bridge, as well as miles of unspoiled mountain views. This place has always fascinated me. Look at it. What in the world? Not this world. This is the National Radio Observatory in Green Bank, West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere. And they're listening for radio signals from outer space. I kid you not. And you're going to hear all about it. This is the Cass Railroad. It was used to bring logs down off the mountain, Cass Mountain. Sometimes they would bring 100,000 board foot a day. That's a lot of trees. And we'll use cut bags to zigzag up and back down the mountain to go to see the logging camp. This little treasure is the Durbin Rocket, run by the Durbin Greenbrier Railroad. Very unique Heiser No. 6 coal-fired steam engine, and it has ties to the West Virginia rail and logging industry along the Greenbrier River. The caboose is my favorite. We have dinner one night at Graceland on the campus of Elkins University. We're going to visit the West Virginia Railroad Museum in Elkins, and we'll have entertainment by the Gandy Dancer Theater. And another night, we're going to have dinner at the Adaland Mansion. There are several different unique experiences. Probably one of the most unique of all is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. This is a National Historic Landmark now, but it was operational, get this, operational until it was closed in 1994. Wait until you hear the story. On the way home, we're going to make some stops. One of them will be a picture stop at the Philippi Covered Bridge. It's the longest covered bridge in West Virginia, built in 1852. And then we're going to have another picture stop at Seneca Rocks. So, have you decided? Summer or fall? It's a tough choice, isn't it?
A Banquet, Beauty, and the Beasts of Thunder Bay. This is an October tour. A little 3-day gem featuring a 5-course dinner in a log cabin, a horse-drawn wagon ride, and a glass-bottom boat. Lighthouses, too. What more could one want in a delightful fall getaway, right? Journeying to Michigan's northern shore of the world's largest freshwater lake, we settle into the Thunder Bay Resort you're looking at right there for 2 lovely nights. We'll climb aboard wagons that are waiting to take you across the wooden bridge over the Thunder Bay River and deep into the woods to the beautiful elk antler log cabin. On the way, we'll pass through the rare elk preserve to view Rocky Mountain elk in their natural habitat. Your wagon driver will share interesting information about these uncommon animals and give you a little time to watch them up close and personal. Upon reaching the cabin, a massive fireplace welcomes you inside, and the aromas emanating from 2 antique wood cook stoves give indication of the amazing dinner about to be set in front of you. Sample up to 6 wines and be entertained with storytelling from your delightful hosts. Your 5-course dinner, prepared by Chef Spencer, will include shrimp cocktail, Spencer's homemade chicken noodle soup, a Napa salad, croissant, and the crown roast of pork with roasted potatoes, white chocolate mousse-filled pizzelles, and fresh raspberries. I had this meal and it was wonderful. Such a special meal in a special setting. It has won awards of every kind. Other things we'll do while in this area include a fascinating shipwreck tour on a glass-bottom boat, weather permitting, and if not, we have a second activity ready to go. A lighthouse tour to see the old Presque Isle Lighthouse, and then the new Presque Isle Lighthouse. Great pictures ops at both. We'll also make a fun stop at Frankenmuth on the way home. Lots of goodness packed into these 3 days. So if you're looking for a shorter trip to celebrate the beginning of autumn, this one is definitely something you should consider. It is a true winner. The Mark Twain Riverboat Cruise at the end of June. 5 picturesque days on the Mississippi River aboard this gorgeous paddle wheeler, Spirit of Peoria. On a grand voyage from Peoria, Illinois to Hannibal, Missouri, you will be transported back in time to an era of leisurely and romantic travel. Spend each day on board with entertainment such as old-time banjo, ragtime piano, and a professional Rivalorian. As you sail the mighty Mississippi between notable ports, excellent sightseeing awaits at a variety of stops in storybook times along the way, such as the Abraham Lincoln Museum, which our past passengers loved. You'll see Mark Twain's home in Hannibal. You'll have fun on an adventure in Mark Twain's cave and more. And on the river, you'll journey through locks and dams and hear historical information and view wildlife sightings. And on the ship, enjoy sumptuous meals, including breakfast, lunches, and dinners every day on the cruise, plus afternoon snacks and unlimited non-alcoholic drinks. Each evening, you'll be picked up at the various docks and transported to lovely hotels at the ports for overnight, then resume your wonderful cruise adventure each morning to a new, exciting destination. Our past passengers said they received old-fashioned Southern hospitality throughout and would do this again in a heartbeat. So don't you think it might be just your turn to experience it yourself this year? Call for the detailed flyer and book soon. Before it's filled up, it will sell out. Noah's Ark and the Creation Museum. This is early August, and a tour to northern Kentucky that's full of wonderful, inspiring, top-notch attractions. I almost don't know where to begin to describe it, but here's a brief overview of the main highlights. The breathtaking ark is a full-size replica of Noah's Ark, according to the dimensions in the Bible. At 510 feet long, over 50 feet tall, with 4 floors, it is the largest wooden timber structure in the world. Filled with hundreds of displays, exhibits, videos, and much more throughout, it is absolutely stunning. During our visit, the Ark is holding the world's largest Christian musical festival for 40 days and 40 nights. The feature group the day we're there is the outstanding Ernie Hassey and Signature Sound Quartet. They're included in our ticket if you want to take advantage of their concert. The 70,000 square foot Creation Museum is a true walk through history and an alternative to the evolutionary natural history museums. I've been there 3 times now and haven't begun to glean all there is to see, learn, and do. It is truly a marvelous experience. Now, a very new discovery that I'm really happy about and thankful to have found. Patriots Landing is a new veteran service complex established to give vets a chance at a real future. It houses a carpentry shop and training center honoring all those who have served, with programs focused on their healing, using on-the-job skills training for veterans who need it most. We'll have a tour here and then a chance to shop in their store, where the proceeds all go back into the program. We'll also enjoy a private 2-hour dinner cruise on the Queen City Riverboat with gospel music, yummy food, and feet-tapping songs as we sail down the Ohio River. All together, this is a wonderful, full, inspirational 3-day getaway. Ask for some extra flyers to pass out at your church or to your family and join us. And while we're talking about this, at Christmas time, we go back again, the beginning of December, when both the Ark and the Creation Museum are decked to the hilt in Christmas finery, with the emphasis on the birth of Christ at every turn. Included in this date is the Crone Conservatory with its poinsettia display, the Beauvais Studios with majestic stained glass items, think Christmas presents, they have gorgeous things in there, the Byrne Garden Center with a little gift for all, and more. Have a flyer sent to you of both itineraries and choose the one you like most. You can't go wrong either way, I promise. Another option for a trip into New England is the end of July, called Maine Magical Summer. With some of the most gorgeous scenery anywhere, prepare to enjoy natural wonders of the largest of the New England states, with scenic mountain views against the Atlantic, time at seaside villages, boat cruises, a train ride, a national park, and much more. So many unique experiences to embrace in this picturesque 7-day tour. Get the flyer for the full information, but let's go through a few things quickly. Here's the Nubble Light at York Beach, Maine's most photographed lighthouse. Boothbay Harbor is considered the sailing capital of Maine. Sail away on a gorgeous Boothbay Harbor cruise. The Rocky Coast is picture perfect from the water. See the working harbor, lobster boats, summer cottages, lighthouses, small islands, and much more. The views are magnificent. Railway Village represents a turn-of-the-century Maine village, complete with antique cars, general store, and a ride through the village on a narrow-gauge railway. At Egg Island, we'll see beautiful lighthouses, such as the Egg Light that you're looking at here. Penobscot Bridge and Observatory, where you'll ride an elevator up above the river and take in the 100-mile view all the way to Acadia. Do you see that middle post going up there and that little pointed thing at the top? That's where you ride the elevator up to. And those little places at the top are windows you will be looking out of. Talk about breathtaking. We'll visit Fort Knox, one of the best preserved fortifications on the New England seacoast. We'll cross the causeway to Mount Desert Island in the maritime village of Bar Harbor, atop a hill overlooking the scenic harbor. You'll have free time in Bar Harbor, in this cute little town, for lunch on your own and time to peruse the quaint shops or stroll the shoreline walking path. We'll travel to Peak of Cadillac Mountain with majestic views of the Atlantic. One evening, a mouth-watering fresh Maine lobster dinner awaits your taste buds. We'll have a guided tour of Acadia National Park, considered one of Maine's greatest treasures. It's excellent there. Narrated tour of mid-coastal Maine includes the postcard quality villages of Rockport and Camden, and a photo op atop Mount Batty amidst the beautiful Camden Hills State Park. In the seacoast town of Portland, learn the history of Casco Bay and Eagle Island, see the homes of sea captains, mansions, Longfellow's boyhood home, and historic Portland Head Lighthouse, considered one of the two most photographed lighthouses in all of America. You'll enjoy a guided tour of the shipbuilding villages of Kennebunkport and Kennebunk. You'll view the Bush Estate, the Wedding Cake House, and the Franciscan Monastery. You'll hop on board for a special Maine lobster encounter. This is really cool, guys. a Maine lobstering cruise on a real lobster boat. And you'll see this guy doing what he's doing right there. It is fascinating. Such a wonderful experience. Very unique. So much is included. Truly, it's an excellent itinerary. Sometimes this trip sells out. So if you're interested, be sure to call soon so you don't miss out going with the TLC gang this summer in July. Stunning New England fall foliage in October. Our favorite autumn New England itinerary. This features Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. From our own personal experience, we have chosen all the best spots throughout this gorgeous scenic part of our country where you can fill up your senses in the fall with picture postcard panoramas at every turn. It is not possible to show you or even talk about all the top shelf touring that's loaded in this trip, but here are some highlights to get you started. We'll overnight coming and going in Connecticut and make our way to the charming New England village of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, home to the beloved American illustrator Norman Rockwell. Enjoy time on Main Street, the setting for his famous Christmas picture, and you're looking at the Red Lion Inn where we'll have lunch. On a wonderful guided tour of the quaint Berkshire region, you'll see breathtaking mountain vistas and charming New England villages bedecked in autumn colors. Hear the history of the Gilded Age in this famous resort area. Visit an apple barn and a country bake shop. At the New England Maple Museum, you'll learn the history of Vermont's age-old maple industry and visit the quaint country store there. Nestled in a charming village is the stately, historic Middlebury Inn, where we'll be guests for a lovely lunch. Have you ever seen a horse spa? I'm guessing not, but you will at the Morgan Horse Farm. You'll also visit the Little Colts. It's a great adventure. Fall foliage abounds on one of America's most scenic routes as voted by American Travel magazine. Travel scenic Route 100 as it cuts through the back roads of Vermont with spectacular mountain vistas around every corner. You will love this. Have fun at the Cold Cider Hollow Mill and also Cabot's Cheese Farmer's Store, where award-winning cheese and other Vermont specialties abound. Feel free to burst into "The Hills Are Alive." Yeah, that's really bad, I know. As we head for the Von Trapp Lodge near Scenic Stowe, you'll see why the Von Trapps chose this exquisite location for its likeness to their homeland in Austria. We'll dine on Austrian-inspired food at the Von Trapp Family Lodge and have your camera ready when you step outside for the breathtaking view across the road there. A very favorite place this time of year is Woodstock. You'll view the covered bridge and maybe let us take your picture by it. We'll stop at Keechee Gorge, known as Vermont's Little Grand Canyon. It is truly a gorgeous sight. Yeah, I know, really bad pun. Okay. What fun on our Golden Pond cruise across picturesque Squam Lake, the setting for the movie of the same name. The bounty of fall colors abound, and you'll hear the history of the shores, the wildlife, and more. All aboard the Winnipesaukee Scenic Railroad along New Hampshire's largest lake while enjoying a delicious turkey dinner on vintage coaches. This scenic rail excursion hugs the beautiful shoreline surrounded by colorful mountains and views of grand-style resorts. Wait till you see them. On New Hampshire's #1 roadway, filled with stunning mountain views known as the famous Kankanangas Trail, we'll stop at the base of Mount Washington, New Hampshire's highest peak, for stunning mountain valley vistas, which are truly awesome. The real meaning of that word. We'll soar to Loon's Summit on New Hampshire's longest sky ride aboard gondolas, viewing extraordinary scenery while being carried to the summit of Loon Mountain. North Conway Village is considered one of New Hampshire's most charming towns. You'll see an Austrian-style train station, white church steeples, and don't miss Zeb's famous country store, which you're looking at right there. Other things on this tour include a New England dinner at the historic Woodstock Inn, a guided tour through the Cathedral of the Pines, which honors servicemen and women, a very fun stop at the Yankee Candle Company featuring a Bavarian village, and more. Truly fabulous touring throughout. I highly recommend this as one of your fall choices. And while we're up in New England, let's talk about for a minute the new tour called Vermont Country Christmas in early December. Vermont is such a beautiful, scenic place to go any time of year, but it is certainly a place that is magical at Christmas time. Now, the few pictures that we have to show you mostly have snow because people taking pictures find it so pretty to capture the sparkling snow. But before we created this tour, I checked into the annual snowfall for early December, and it averages 8 to 10 days of snow. So we plan to watch the weather and make a call on this trip about a month out, because if it's feasible to go, as I said, there's no place more beautiful than Vermont, hands down. But we need your help because we'll have to know if we have enough to run it by the end of October. Fully refundable if we cancel. Okay, now take a look at this joyful holiday opportunity and consider getting your reservation in with the hope of taking this grand tour. We will spend 3 nights at the highly rated historic Middlebury Inn, overlooking the village greens of the quaint New England namesake town. After a festive welcome, we'll sit down to a delicious dinner in the main dining room and later perhaps choose to relax by the cozy fire. On this one, we also visit the beautiful Austrian-inspired Trapp Family Lodge for a festive holiday luncheon. You will believe the hills are alive as you drive up to this massive, famous chalet. What fun will be our fascinating visit to one of Vermont's famous Christmas tree farms for a view of the fields of trees and a brief talk about the farm. And another day, we'll visit one of the area's local farms where you can purchase a homemade Vermont Christmas wreath if you like, taking home the best smelling memory possible. We'll have an afternoon of holiday fun in Stowe Village to shop and explore. Be sure to visit Stowe Mercantile for an authentic selection of New England items to take home as very special Christmas gifts. And then at the Mountaintop Inn, we'll be welcomed for refreshments and a horse-drawn sleigh ride taking us back in time. As we wind along wooded trails and across open fields, we'll bask in the fresh scent of the pines, feel the runners glide, and hear the sleigh bells ringing softly. An old-fashioned New England winter experience never to be forgotten. Other great Christmas experiences include the Middlebury's Exchange Street District, where you can pop into the Vermont Soap Company, Danforth Pewter, enjoy demos from craftsmen, enjoy delicious meals with light entertainment, some caroling, a visit from Santa, just a twinkling world of magical stories to bring back from an old-fashioned Vermont country Christmas. Which takes us into another of our New England destinations that we are in love with, and that is beautiful Bar Harbor in Acadia National Park. This one we go in August, and it is a deluxe tour. While some of our other New England itineraries spend a little time visiting Bar Harbor, this charming resort town is so popular and cherished that we have planned this tour solely focused on what is known as the most beautiful island in America. Ocean views and accommodations overlooking Frenchman's Bay await you here on Mount Desert Island, the largest island in the state and second largest on the eastern seaboard. Bar Harbor sits at the gateway to Acadia National Park. You can smell the salt air and feel the coastal breezes in this top-rated vacation area, whose hotels and overnight establishments, by the way, are basically sold out for the entire coming year. Bar Harbor is world-renowned for its enchanting maritime panoramas, its many yachts and lobster boats, and its view of nearby islands in setting that range from glistening sunlight to thick fog and mist. Many call it a special place of unrivaled charm. Acadia National Park is one of the 10 most visited national parks in the United States, and we'll embark on a guided tour to see the national wonders of this main treasure. You'll view tremendous coastal scenes that have attracted the elite to this area for centuries. You'll hear stories of the Victorian rusticators and the famous residents that live here. You'll spend 3 nights at the highly rated Atlantic Oceanside Hotel with a water view from every room. See, you're looking at it right there in the picture. You'll unpack once and settle in for some great days ahead. On a narrated nature cruise along Maine's rugged coast, we'll look for seals, eagles, porpoise, a lighthouse, and amazing summer mansions. We'll travel to the peak of Cadillac Mountain, the highest point on the U.S. East Coast. Breathtaking views of the mountains out across the Atlantic. We'll breathe in the fresh Maine air on a horse-drawn wagon ride along Acadia's first trails, chosen by J.D. Rockefeller himself for their amazing beauty. Now, full disclosure, at this writing, it is undecided if these wagons will operate this summer, and if not, another activity will take its place. Did you know that Maine is the USA's largest producer of wild blueberries, and that Maine wild blueberry pie is the state's official dessert? You know, the state had an official dessert. They have a sweet and tangy flavor and are loaded with nutritional values. So don't pass up any yummy opportunity you may have to find out for yourself. You'll be guests for an hour-long guided walking tour of the downtown area to learn of its colorful historic past, and then enjoy free time exploring the delightful waterfront filled with quaint shops, eateries, galleries, and museums. One day, we'll take a scenic drive out to Seal Harbor to visit Astaku Terraces, famous for its azaleas and beautiful English flower beds. And then, one evening, we'll be at the Great Maine Lumberjack Show, presenting competitions just as you would have witnessed 100 years ago in our logging camp in the Maine woods. That should be really fun. We'll bask in an evening that features a mouth-watering traditional Maine lobster bake. All in all, this is truly a vacation you will not want to end, but please call soon. Because of its popularity, our Bar Harbor Hotel has a very early deadline. We need your help. Thank you.
All right, Yellowstone National Park. People ask me a lot of times what my favorite trip is, and my daughter would tell you that they all are. But truly, this is one that is one of my favorites, and for good reason. We go for 14 days in the month of August to probably some of the most spectacular and pretty scenery I've ever seen. If this is not on your bucket list, it should be. It's impossible to tell you everything that we're going to do, or show you, I should say, but I'm going to try to give you at least the high points here. But Yellowstone Park was our first national park, dedicated in 1872. We actually begin the main part of the journey in a place called Jackson, Wyoming. Some people refer to it as Jackson Hole, but the anticipation is building as we drive into Jackson. We're here for 2 nights, just a block away from the town square, and they have a shootout every night in the town square. There are so many places to eat and shop and so much to take in, because the next day we're going to do a raft trip on the Snake River, never to be forgotten for the quiet beauty on the river and the backdrop of the Teton Mountains. No worries, there's no white water. This is definitely a float trip. We may get to see some elk, though, or eagles, or even an occasional moose. We'll have the better part of a day on your own in Jackson. Our hotel is close to everything. Get your photo under the arches in the park. Have a meal at the $1 Million Saloon. They have saddles for bar stools. Or you can go to the historic Wart Hotel and have dinner. Or you can ride around town on a stagecoach. It's historic. Or you can just have some ice cream and people watch, whatever suits you. The next morning, we head out through the Grand Tetons with plenty of opportunities to take pictures and learn a little more history of the area. We often see animals here, including bear, sometimes coyotes, sometimes even a wolf, but more likely a buffalo. Bison. You never know where they're going to be. After lunch, we're going to head north into Yellowstone National Park, the south entrance, and the first stop is going to be Old Faithful. There'll be plenty of time here to take in more than one eruption of the famous geyser and explore the Old Faithful complex. Remember, Yellowstone is an active volcano, and we will experience all types of its thermal features during the time that we're here. West Yellowstone is our home for 2 nights, and we have a professional guide who will spend an entire day exploring the Grand Loop, which is the upper and the lower portions of the national park. We'll make stops at Hayden Valley and the upper falls of the Yellowstone River. We'll see the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. It's over 20 miles long, has over 2,000 foot deep walls in spots, and both the upper and lower falls are located on the canyon. If you look at it real closely, you'll be able to tell why they named the river the Yellowstone, because of that yellow dirt. Whoops, I told you that buffalo bison could be anywhere, sometimes in the middle of the road. Usually where you find bison, you may also find elk, and where you find those two, you may also find wolves. Now, there's another thermal feature in the northern part of the park that we'll see called Mammoth Hot Springs. It's very different from most, and we can see it up close and personal because you can actually walk up around it. And we will have lunch there at the Hot Springs complex, and if we're lucky, we'll see some elk just grazing around. There are over 1,000 hot springs and geysers in the park, so don't let the cool blue colors of this one fool you. The average temperature of that water is 199 degrees. We'll take a walk around one of the geyser basins. The smell might kind of surprise you. It's hard to leave Yellowstone. It's kind of like coming back down to earth, but we have a spectacular drive down the mountains to Cody, Wyoming. We're staying in what they call the Monopoly houses. At least that's what I call them. We're having lunch at the Irma Cafe, named for Buffalo Bill's daughter. We'll be going to the Buffalo Bill Center for the West here in Cody, and you'll spend some time here. Tonight, we're going to go to the Cody Rodeo. So break out your cowboy duds, because Cody is the rodeo capital of the West. Moving on east to Mount Rushmore, we're going to have a fun and unique lunch stop first. Want to go for a horseback ride? After resting for the evening, we'll spend the next day visiting the Crazy Horse Memorial and Mount Rushmore. And then after dinner at the Red Garter Saloon, we'll go back to witness the patriotic lighting ceremony at Mount Rushmore. It's quite an experience. Now, we cannot leave without a visit to Wall Drugstore and a drive through the Badlands National Park. What a change of scenery these last few days. It looks like we landed on the moon here. It gets more familiar as we make our way eastward and homeward. But there's more fun to come along the way, and we have all those wonderful memories to take with us. This is truly the trip of a lifetime, folks. Time to check it off of your bucket list. We are back to New England. And where we had rail and sail before, now we're just railing. We're not sailing so much. But who doesn't love a train ride? There are so many of these New England trips, so many choices. But if you are a train lover, take a good look at the trains of New England. This goes in October. It's a 7-day trip. It's a new trip this year, and it really does cover a lot of territory. This is kind of what I put together. There are 4 train rides all over New England, and each one very different from the other. We'll start out in Boston for a city tour, some lunch at Quincy Market. We'll be able to stop and take photos at the USS Constitution. We're going to overnight here right on Boston Harbor at the Encore Hotel Casino, right in the thick of the harbor part. Now, next morning, we're going to get up and get on Amtrak. Pretend you live in New England and you have to commute every day to Boston. Well, just pretend. We're going to board the Amtrak down Easter at the North Station of Boston for our ride into Maine. We'll do a driving tour today in Maine of Kennebunk and Kennebunkport. We'll go to Perkins Cove, and then we're going to head north for a look at the oceanfront and Marginal Way. There is a trail there you can see that goes from Perkins Cove over to Algonquin. We'll get to walk the trail if you want, and if you don't really want to walk, you can stay right there at the cove and enjoy some of the really unique shops in the cove. Tonight, we have a lobster dinner. We're going to head inland into New Hampshire, and we'll have a trip on the Cafe Lafayette dinner train. That is Loon, New Hampshire. We're going to stay there for 2 nights at a place called the Mountain Club. We'll ride the restored Pullman cars on the Cafe Lafayette, and we're going to have a very unique dining experience to be savored and enjoyed. I think it's the first time years ago that I was there that I ever had a waiter with a white napkin draped over his arm, standing there with a pepper grinder asking me, did I want pepper on my food? I thought I was something. The Kankamungus Highway, which you've heard before, takes us to Conway, New Hampshire for a ride on the Conway Scenic Railroad. This one was built in the 1870s. We're going to have lunch on board, and we're going to travel up there through Crawford Notch. We'll have a guided tour through the White Mountains, and we're going to have photo stops at several of the scenic overlooks. You know, in New England, if you have a gap between two mountains that you can go through, they call it a notch. Out west, they call it a pass. Down in the southern part, they call it a gap, but it's all the same thing. On the way back, we're going to have an opportunity that I haven't had in a very long time. We're going to be able to ride the Mount Washington Cog Railway. It was the first cog railway built in New Hampshire, and a breathtaking experience to travel to the summit, which is 6,288 feet. You're not only going to journey through nature, but you're going to journey through history as well here. Coming back toward home, we're going to make a stop in Vermont at the Vermont Country Store, and it's owned by fifth generation Vermonters. Then we're going to have lunch at the public house that you see here, and down in Bennington, we'll be able to see the Norman Rockwell Museum. In September, for 5 days, we have a trip. Well, it used to be called the 100-Mile Cruise, but now it's called Paddle Wheels, Pickers, and Panoramas. And what we're going to do is we're going to ride a paddle wheeler down the Mississippi for a whole day. When I did this, I learned a lot about the Mississippi River, and I ate a lot too. I had a passenger tell me, "Mary Lou, you don't walk off that boat, you roll off that boat." But we begin in Galena, Illinois with a trolley tour. You know, Galena is where Ulysses S. Grant lived. We're going to ride the trolley and have a city tour and get the history of the area. We'll have lunch in time for a little bit of shopping in downtown. Our lunch is at the historic DeSoto Hotel, which is now a museum. We're going to move on to Dubuque for a Victorian progressive dinner. Each house has a different course that we'll sample, and we'll also get a tour. We're going to spend some time at the Mississippi River Museum. It's an affiliate of the Smithsonian and represents the culture and the history of the United States rivers. They also have an aquarium there that houses species native to the rivers of the United States. And this is my favorite exhibit, the river otters. Just look at these characters. Aren't they cute? The next day, we're going to board the Celebration Belle, which is the 750 passenger paddle wheeler designed specifically for Mississippi River travel. It's family owned and the largest non-gaming ship on the Mississippi. As we cruise down the river all day long with nothing to do, well, not exactly, there's always narration and musical entertainment, and there's always food. And the wide expanse of the river, which is more than 3 miles wide in spots, just to enjoy the scenic beauty and the ride, and of course to wait for your next meal. As we head home after an evening at the Isle of Capri for overnight and for our dinner, the next morning we're going to head home and we'll make a stop at Antiques Archaeology, which is Mike. I'm sure you're familiar with him. Hopefully he'll be there, but if not, we'll get to look around the store. And also, before we go home, we'll have a mystery dinner theater near Chicago. That is the 100-mile or paddle wheels, pickers, and panoramas. This is a trip, and I kind of want to warn you because there are several trips that we have that still have the same name, but the actual content of the trip has changed significantly. This is one of them. It's called Southern USA Islands and Coastal Treasures. You may want to skim over it, but take a look at it again because it is extremely different from what it was. It goes in November, and this is now a 9-day trip. The first stop is going to be just a little bit south of Charlotte. This area is known as the Buckle of the Bible Belt, and our stop is the home and museum of the Reverend Billy Graham. This home is beautifully restored on the grounds of Wheaton College, and the gravesite of Bill and his wife are there as well. I think you'll really enjoy your time here. We'll head for Amelia Island then and spend the next 2 nights there exploring the island. We're going to be staying in Fernandina Beach, and our hotel overlooks the historic waterfront. This Victorian seaport was once a pirate stamping ground, and the streets are full of eclectic shops to browse. We're going to take a trip one day on the Amelia River and cruise around Cumberland Island. We'll see Fort Clinch, and hopefully we'll find some wild horses. Then we're going to head toward Florida, and our stop for the next 2 nights is in St. Augustine at the Guy Harvey Oceanfront Resort. Beautiful. We'll have a whole day to experience St. Augustine as we want. We're going to have a hop-on, hop-off tram tour so that depending on what your interests are, you can go to the Fountain of Youth, you can go to the fort, you can go to the Bridge of Lions. They have a wonderful winery there. You can go to Flagler College for a history tour. So much to see and do there on the hop-on and hop-off trolley tour. Our next adventure is going to take us to Tybee Island to enjoy 2 nights at Tybee Hotel with beachfront balconies. The warm sand is just steps away from the hotel, and we'll take a guided nature walk. That should be interesting. We'll head up to Savannah, and we'll have a trolley tour in Savannah. This will be a hop-on, hop-off as well. 16 squares of community with homes and businesses designed by Oglethorpe, but really not too suitable for a motor coach. St. John the Baptist Cathedral would be a necessary place to stop for me. And I know you've seen the outside of this church on other slides. It's beautiful, but it is the inside of this church. It is jaw-dropping. It is breathtakingly beautiful. We get to eat at Paula Dean's Creek House, which is one of her new restaurants. And unfortunately, we have to leave the Low Country for our homeward journey. We'll stop in Helen, Georgia at a Bavarian Alpine village, and then a farewell dinner theater in Virginia. So take another look at, even if you've done this trip before, take a look at it because there's so much about it that is different. Northern area in Wisconsin, known as the Dells, is a tourist mecca. And in my opinion, another one of those secrets in the book. We're going to visit the House on the Rock. It is in nearby Spring Green, Wisconsin, and it was inspired by architect Frank Lloyd Wright's work, built by a guy by the name of Alex Jordan. Now, Jordan showed him the plans for the house, and Wright told him he wouldn't hire him to design a chicken coop. But he built it anyway, and it opened in 1960 to the public. The interior of the House on the Rock, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no way to explain. There's no way to understand it. There are so many rooms filled with so many things, so much music. You really have to kind of pace yourself to go through it. And it's difficult to really see it all. There's just so much there. But I guarantee you one thing, you will not be bored. This is one of the rooms in the house. It's a merry-go-round. I don't know, but if you look at it really closely, this merry-go-round is 2 stories tall. It takes up like 2 huge rooms, and it has been featured in several prominent commercials. We'll take a ride on the Upper Dells above the falls of the Wisconsin River through the glacier. These are formed with sandstone. The water's clear brown. It's not dirty brown, it's clear because the river flows through tamarack swamps. We're going to be able to get off the boat a couple different times, but we're also going to be able to take a wagon ride in Lost Canyon. Look like a tight squeeze to me. One of the places that we get off is called Stand Rock. And that's because there was a gentleman by the name of H.H. Bennett. He was a photographer, and he's credited for making the Dells popular because of the photography that he did there to show people what was there. He photographed his son jumping from one rock to another rock and was able to freeze frame his son. Now, this has been, when they were still taking pictures where you had to stand still for 2 minutes to get your picture taken. And he was able to perfect this particular thing. And it has ever since, of course, been a big thing. We're also going to get to go to a magic show, the Rick Wilcox Magic Show. And he's also a comedian, keeping you entertained for one evening. The lower Dells will be able to take a duck ride, one of these amphibious ones that goes on the land and in the water. The last night we're going to head home, but on the way we do have a wonderful dinner theater at the Fireside Dinner Theater, which is excellent food and excellent entertainment. Wisconsin Dells is in June, and that is a 5-day trip. Here we go again with another name, the picturesque Poconos. Actually, it's called Poking Around the Picturesque Poconos. This is an October trip. It's brand new, and it's 4 days. The best season to experience the Poconos is fall. There's over 2,400 square miles of scenic fall foliage. This area is famous for its resorts and also as a honeymoon destination. It sits within 2 hours of millions of metropolitan area residents. We'll visit Lake Wallenpaupack. It's the second largest lake in Pennsylvania. It has 53 miles of pristine shoreline. You can't build close enough to the shore that there's restrictions on how close you can build. They don't want you to destroy the view from the water. But this lake provides hydroelectric power and flood control. We're also going to be going to Bushkill Falls. It's one of the state's most popular attractions, and there's a series of 8 different waterfalls called the Niagara of Pennsylvania. We'll see the falls, and we'll even get to mine for gems. We'll also enjoy the Barley Creek Brewery. We'll shop at American Candle, and we'll get to see a show at Penn's Peak with Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. We'll go to the Asa Packard Mansion. This home was built in 1860 by Asa Packard. He was a railroad magnate and he founded the Lehigh Railroad and Lehigh College. The original Victorian furnishings are still there, and the house is a National Historic Landmark. We'll ride the rails into Lehigh Gorge State Park and have some free time in Jim Thorpe Village. Jim Thorpe was raised in this coal mining region, and after much back and forth, was eventually buried there. We'll spend 3 nights at the Chateau, a lakeside resort in the shadow of Camelback Mountain. As I mentioned, this is a new trip to an area that we have not really explored before, but it looks and it sounds like a beautiful trip, so you want to take a look at it. New Orleans, or NOLA, as it's known. Our adventure begins here with a step-on guide and a city tour beginning at Jackson Square and listening to all the colorful and historical information about the Big Easy. Jackson Square has St. Louis Cathedral as the focal point, and it's also the best place to get a beignet or a carriage ride or see the mimes perform. It sits right on the Mississippi River. One of my favorite parts of the city tour is the cemeteries. I know that sounds strange, but it's fascinating to me. There's so much history and tradition, and it's interesting to learn why they do the things that they do. I know I haven't done too much food though, but just look at this. The one thing about this trip that there are so many different varieties of food, and it's also very good. Everyone loves pecan pie, pralines, and these little square no-hole donuts dredged in powdered sugar. They're called beignets, and they are delicious, especially with latte, and especially at the Café du Monde. That's their specialty, and that sits right on Jackson Square. And you can just sit and have your latte and beignet and watch the people go by. One day we'll do a dinner cruise on the Mississippi River. We'll have a jazz band to perform for us, the Cajun buffet. We'll see all the parts of New Orleans that you would not by just driving around. The sugarcane refineries, the container ships from all different countries. There's just so much going on. Man, more unique food. I talked about desserts, but that's not the half of it. The Cajun buffet is going to allow you a chance to sample some things like jambalaya, red beans and rice, or etouffee, and there's more. Catfish, like you've never tasted, and another sandwich called a muffalata. It takes 2 hands to handle one of these. And don't forget shrimp and grits. Just try something different. We're going to make a trip across the river to Laura. It's a plantation, a sugar plantation, that was run by 2 Cajun women. Doesn't fit what you would normally picture as a plantation home, but our guide will explain how all this came to be, and it is truly fascinating. Oak Alley, that more looks like what you would think of how a plantation should look, and it was used in several movies about the South. We have lunch here and tour the house, and we have time to explore the grounds and the slave quarters. Our hotel for 3 nights is on the trolley route and very close to Canal Street and Bourbon Street. You will have ample time on your own to take a look around the city. They have a highly rated World War II museum, a casino, and of course you can hop on the trolley and go anywhere. The French market is nearby, and our hotel has a fabulous rooftop pool. This is Mardi Gras World. They make all the floats for the Mardi Gras parade. You can try on costumes and see how everything gets done there. One of the neatest things I've ever done on this trip is so much fun. It's an airboat adventure. We're going to cross the river again and take a ride and have an adventure of a lifetime. They take you back into the swamps to look for alligators and osprey. You may even get to hold a baby alligator. Don't worry, they give you ear protection for the noise because there is a lot of noise. Our time in New Orleans would not be complete without a trip to Bourbon Street. We have dinner there one evening, and the escort usually walks down with anyone who wants to go back down during the night and see the real Bourbon Street. Don't be misled. If you haven't seen Bourbon Street at night, you haven't seen New Orleans. The Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular. This is an October trip, just a 3-day trip. I remember the first time we offered this trip. I have to admit, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. 5,000 pumpkins? Boy, was I wrong. 5,000 curved and lit pumpkins in Iroquois Park in Louisville, Kentucky. A 1/4-mile trail illuminated with background music, and you make your way, walk over that trail between all these lit pumpkins. No other lighting except for the pumpkins and subdued lighting on the trail. Each pumpkin is different and more detailed than the last. And just imagine 5,000 of them. We're going to take some time and go into another area to visit the Old Friends Retirement Farm. That's where they take the thoroughbreds when they have outlived their usefulness as a racer. We're going to have a walking tour. We're going to get to be introduced to some of them. This place provides a comfortable home for over 240 horses who may otherwise meet a not so happy end. We also get to visit an animal farm for a wagon ride. They have buckets they give you with food to feed the hungry crew of alpacas and kangaroos and who knows what else. We also visit the French Lick West Baden Museum and the French Lick Resort. It has marble floors and luxurious furnishings, and we'll get to see the whole thing. The real treat one morning is at Churchill Downs. We have breakfast on the back stretch of the track at the museum, and we get to watch as some of the thoroughbreds are exercised and even bathed, maybe even get to meet one. Coming back up towards Cincinnati, we'll cruise the Ohio River for 2 hours while having lunch and enjoying the autumn colors. The theme for this year's spectacular is changing the channel's television history. Get ready for some memorable pumpkins. People travel from all over the country to attend this event, so don't miss it. Ocean City. Twice. In May, we're going to be there for 4 days, and in September, we're going to be there for 5 days. 10 miles of white sand along the Atlantic Ocean, 3 miles of boardwalk, lots of fun and food and shopping. Every year, 8 million visitors flock to this major resort of Ocean City, beginning back in 1867 when they arrived by stagecoach and ferry, and then by railroad, and now by motor vehicle. Both trips bring you here at an ideal time when the crowds are less and the weather is perfect. We have built in time for you to take advantage of all that Ocean City has to offer. We'll take some side trips to the Shipwreck Museum, the Seashell City, and we'll even go to a magic experience at the Dickens Theater. One day, we'll take an eco cruise on the beautiful Assamoah Bay, dinner one night at the bonfire. We'll sail to Assateague Island to look for wild ponies and explore the quaint Berlin, even visit the Salted Vines Vineyard. especially for those who love a slower paced, relaxing vacation. Take a look at this one and bring your friends.
Alexandria Bay, the Thousand Islands, and the beautiful Finger Lakes. This tour goes in June. I think it's one of those tours that is just so loaded with beauty that when people come back from it, they cannot hardly believe all that they have seen in this tour. Kind of one of those that Mary Lou's talking about, those little unexpected, extra special gems. But it is a gorgeous tour. The Thousand Islands are a group of over 1,800 islands in the St. Lawrence River, straddling the border of the United States and Canada. The Finger Lakes are a group of 11 long, thin lakes in New York State, marked with over 150 waterfalls and spectacular scenery. Right there, you're looking at the Two Nations boat tour we do while we're here, and that's the beautiful Bolt Castle in the background, which we tour. We stay for 3 nights at Captain Thompson's Resort right on the waterfront, adjacent to the main shipping channel of the St. Lawrence Seaway. You can see it, of course, right down there in the bottom left corner with that reddish-brown roof. That's at Captain Thomas, where we stay. And then if you look out across the water, you can see on that island, that again is the Bolt Castle where the former picture was at. Alexandria Bay is a beautiful, quaint village, rich in history and unique culture. The waters were once cruised by pirates, yes, real pirates, and are now cruised by visitors who enjoy the serene bays, historic castles, maritime museum, and quaint downtown shopping. You'll love your free time to stroll around Alex Bay and explore it any way you wish. As I mentioned in the first picture, the highlight will be our 22-mile, two-nation cruise through the heart of the Thousand Islands on both the American and Canadian waters. But since we're on a boat, there's no passport needed. Isn't that a gorgeous picture? We'll stop at the majestic Bolt Castle for a tour and hear the fascinating love story behind the wealthy owner of Waldorf Astoria Hotel fame and how it affected this castle. It's really cool. You won't believe the ending to that story. On our Singer Castle cruise, we sail away to this magnificent 100-year-old castle and embark on a walking tour of the intricate architecture and furnishings and the intriguing secret passages built by the sewing machine baron. That's why it's called Singer Castle. On to the Finger Lakes region with a guided tour here, including majestic waterfalls. You'll want to have your camera out and ready as the scenery will be gorgeous. Nestled in the Finger Lakes is Sonnenberg Mansion and Gardens, a magnificent historic estate showcasing 9 formal gardens, an antique greenhouse, and huge Victorian home. We will be able to have a tour and spend some time here on the grounds. It is truly a wonderful stop. We'll also set sail on a sightseeing cruise aboard this charming 19th century paddle wheel steamboat called the Canandaigua Lady. As we glide around lovely Canandaigua Lake, you will see beautiful scenery in every direction. We'll also visit other things like the fascinating Antique Boat Museum. The guys love that. You'll see the beautiful Willard Memorial Chapel that you're looking at here, the 1890s Tiffany windows. We'll stop on the way home at Niagara Falls State Park on the U.S. side, of course, for their special scenic trolley tour. Those again who have taken this tour have loved everything about it, and we're pretty sure you will too. We'd love to have you come along with us this year. The Outer Banks of North Carolina. This trip goes out in September. The Outer Banks cover about half the North Carolina coast, and there are a 200-mile-long series of narrow islands. From the first English explorers to the Wright brothers, hospitality on the Outer Banks has always been first and foremost. And if you come with us this time, we know you'll agree. It's a wonderful time to visit here. The crowds have gone home, and the weather is still gorgeous. We have a wonderful local guide with us during our time here to share all about the places we'll see and go so we don't miss a thing. You're looking at the Bodie Island Lighthouse, and you'll see many of these beauties during our travels in this coastal area. In fact, here's another one, the Hatteras Lighthouse on Cape Hatteras National Seashore. This is the tallest light in America, and weather permitting, we'll have a boxed lunch right on the beautiful beach here. Later, we ferry from Hatteras Island to Ocracoke Island, where maritime forests were once home to the infamous pilot Blackbeard. A superb location, we spend 3 nights at the award-winning Hampton Inn Oceanfront in Corolla that you're looking at right there. Follow the walkway and snuggle your toes into the golden sands of the majestic Atlantic Ocean. We'll visit Kitty Hawk and the Wright Brothers National Memorial and Museum. It's a fascinating place for sure. And then what a treat will be our Corolla Wild Horse Tour. From your open-air safari style vehicles. Doesn't that sound fun? You will love seeing these beautiful ancestors of the Spanish Mustangs brought to the New World in the 1500s. It will be a really fun time. Here's the Manteo Lighthouse on Roanoke Island, and you'll enjoy some time to explore the little quaint town of Manteo. And on the Elizabeth II, you'll meet sailors in period costumes who are speaking the Elizabethan dialect, bringing the 16th century sailing ship to life. We'll see the film The Legend of Two Paths, telling about the 1584 arrival of the English and how it changed the lives of the native Roanoke Island people, the Algonquins. We pay a visit to the first-class Roanoke Adventure Museum, exploring the Outer Banks history, where you can climb aboard a skiff, hoist some sails, learn about life-saving, and shop in a 1900s general store. There are more wonderful things to do in the Outer Banks than it's time to tell, such as we've given you a fabulous free day at your request to plan any way you wish. You can go sightseeing, you can relax, you can go swimming. Choices are many. And we have meals at wonderful restaurants right on the waterfront with fabulous views. Then on the way home, we overnight in Mount Airy, also known as Mayberry RFD of Andy Griffith fame. You really need to get the fully detailed flyer so you don't miss out on all we'll be doing on this tour. Honestly, it's a winner in every way. A Pig, a Feud, and Moonshine too. This goes out in early September. For those wanting something new and different, here is one of our favorite choices we would recommend to you in a heartbeat. I've personally been to this area, and the people here are just wonderful, including a great local guide we'll have with us. It's a past mystery trip that was so enjoyed, we've been bringing it back every year since, and you're going to have such fun with everything we're doing. Our home for 3 nights is in Jenny Wiley State Park at the Rustic Lodge. This is in Prestonburg, Kentucky, deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, and accented by the scenic 1,000-acre Dewey Lake. Your room will have a private balcony and a relaxing view of the lake. Upon arrival, a Jenny Wiley reenactor will share Jenny's story. Now, the claim of this area is that music is king and moonshine is, well, king number 2. And at other times, especially during your meals, you may be surprised with entertainment by a heartwarming local starving artists who we love. And at one point, you'll be whisked away on a moonshine hideaway tour, which is so super fun. Another treat will be when we board special shuttles and go down a dirt lane to visit Loretta Lynn's home place, where she lived with her late brother Herman and her sister Crystal Gale. You'll hear the stories that were created here of this beloved country star from Butcher Holler. Another treat will be your visit to Webb's grocery store for an RC Cola and a moon pie, memories of a simpler time, and be entertained by Rachel Messer, a contestant on season 15 of The Voice. Wow. We'll also spend a day on the Hatfield and McCoy Trail. How fun is this? We'll enjoy dueling pianos during breakfast and then depart with a local guide to visit such things as the Pawpaw Tree Site, the Hog Trail Cabin, Wingo's for lunch, the Hatfield McCoy Museum, and we'll even play a game of Family Feud on the coach in Hatfield McCoy style. As always, more is included in this tour than time to tell here, because you'll experience a true miner's lunch and a tour of the interesting Van Leer Coal Mining Museum. You'll take your seats at the Mountain Arts Center, where young upcoming stars perform for you as tribute singers to Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn provide a great time you won't forget. You'll sail on a pontoon boat on that Dewey Lake that we looked at earlier as you learn the area history from a park naturalist. This is just an all-around delightful, fun-filled tour in every way. We'd love to have you on the coach with us this year. Our Cape Cod Deluxe Tour goes out in mid-September. It is the best of the Cape at the perfect time of year. One of the country's most popular destinations, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, is comprised of 15 towns, as well as the 2 islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. We won't have time to visit all 15, but we'll see and do more things than you ever dreamed during our fabulous time here. You may find a less expensive Cape trip, but none that includes all we do. One of the many highlights of this tour will find us on Ocean Drive to see the spectacular mansions of Newport, Rhode Island. And we'll tour the most famous one, the Breakers. It is truly unbelievable. A lovely ferry ride over to Martha's Island takes us to view these iconic gingerbread cottages, the striking oak bluffs, quaint Edgartown, lighthouses, and the beach where Jaws was filmed. It is truly an enchanting island. The Little Gray Lady of the Sea is the name the locals have for Nantucket Island, and you'll love browsing amidst its cobblestone street and quaint stores. Be ready for plenty of photo ops. During our time in Hyannis, you'll see the Kennedy compound from our shipboard viewpoint. Delightful sailing experience, and later you'll view the Kennedy Memorial, St. Francis Xavier Church, and enjoy a delicious lobster fest. You're looking at an aerial view of the National Seashore comprised of 40 miles of pristine sandy beaches, marshes, ponds, and uplands. Lighthouses and cranberry bogs dot the landscape, offering a glimpse of Cape Cod's past and continuing ways of life. It's a beautiful drive. Our wonderful tour of Old Cape Cod includes Nauset Lighthouse, which you're looking at there, the Marconi radio station, and the striking high cliffs at Seashore Park. One day, we visit Provincetown at the tip of Cape Cod and climb on board for a thrilling whale watch cruise to see the gentle giants up close, which we usually do. A grand tour of Boston will find us seeing sights such as Old North Church, parts of the Freedom Trail, Paul Revere's house, Beacon Hill, USS Constitution, and Quincy Market. What fun it is in historic Plymouth. You'll see the Mayflower Tube, Plymouth Rock, Brewster Park, the Sarcophagus, First Church, much more as time allows. It's a very special opportunity to visit here. Well, I'm out of time again, but every year this trip returns with rave reviews. It's genuinely a lot of fabulous touring for the price, and we are so excited to show it to you. Here's hoping to see you on the coach the morning it departs for this first-class New England adventure. Now, I'm really happy to talk to you about Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The Sight and Sound Majestic Christian Theater there, called the Millennium Theater, is one of the best things ever. At a time when it's hard to find any kind of decent entertainment, you can come with us on any one of 5 great opportunities this year to experience the Bible's most epic stories as they come to life on a massive panoramic stage. Their unforgettable and uplifting shows inspire over 800,000 guests every year, with professional actors attired in elaborate costumes, meticulously detailed sets towering up to 40 feet high, trained animals, unmatched special effects, and memorable music. This year's brand new production is David, the moving and inspiring story of a shepherd boy that follows his triumphs and struggles as we get to know this king who was known as a man after God's own heart. All of our 5 visits include great seats to see David, of course, but we also include some other wonderful touring as well. Often it's the second show at one of our favorite places, the beautiful American Music Theater. And our April visit includes the breathtaking dancing troupe called Riverdance. Their show has been refreshed with new presentations, and if you've never seen it, you will be blown away. Often we include a stop at Kitchen Kettle Village, where all kinds of homemade goodies and gifts await our eager eyes. And our June visit finds us including a blast from the past called Happy Together, where 6 beloved groups such as the Turtles, the Associations, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, and so many more are all together for a one night of a fabulous concert. It will be so fun. Now, you may know by now that TLC Tours is all about great eating, and the options for delicious food in this area are definitely in abundance. Miller's Smorgasbord, the Hometown Kitchen, Plain and Fancy are just a few that we love to include when they fit into our schedule. In August, we are happy to support a new show in town called Magic and Wonder, a comedy variety magic production combining large-scale illusions, clean humor, and dynamic acrobatic arts. It has won awards already, and we can't wait to see it for ourselves. Now, switching gears just a little, in September, it's the only time we don't include David, but that's because this store is specifically for the Pennsylvania Gospel Music Festival held at the American Music Theater. Our group who went last year loved this showcase of outstanding Christian musical groups by 12 to 15 different artists over the course of 3 days. Check out our tour book to see some of the groups they have lined up this year, but it will be 5 concerts that will inspire and uplift, guaranteed. Lancaster, PA is the second largest Amish settlement in the world, and often we start our second morning off with a guided back roads tour to see what's happening in this community, living the simple life. Often we include one of their craft shops, and sometimes we even eat a meal in one of their homes. For our fall visit, we not only see David, but we're going to a very special event at the gorgeous Longwood Gardens, their Chrysanthemum Festival. The massive grounds of this botanical paradise will be showing off thousands of carefully nurtured mums and other fall beauties, and we'll take our guided maps to stroll through it to our heart's content. And last but not least is our December visit. If you're looking for a way to put some Christmas joy into your holidays this year, you'll want to consider joining us for our great seats at the Millennium Theater, first to see David, and then to spend a special evening at the wonderful Dutch Apple Dinner Theater, where this year's special production is Elf, one of our favorite Christmas shows. Other things are included in this quaint area, of course, before we return home with a happy heart that's ready to embrace the beautiful holy season that's just ahead. Remember, wise men still seek him. And in July, we have a brand new tour, Chattanooga Choo-Choos. It's situated along the Tennessee River, right across the state line from Georgia, is a city listed as one of the great places to live in the USA. This new tour is filled with things that we as TLC travelers love most. Trains, boats, majestic views, history, outdoor wonders. This one has it all. With the first night in Berea, Kentucky at the lovely Boone Hotel, we arrive in Chattanooga the next day for 3 nights at the historic Reed House Hotel, specializing in 1920s splendor with all the modern touches. A dazzling jazz-era gem featuring soaring lobby ceilings, dramatic chandeliers, checkered floors, and gleaming wood-clad walls. What a fun experience! The Lookout Mountain Incline Railway is known as America's Most Amazing Mile, and we'll ride in trolley-style cars with breathtaking views of mountains and valleys from your observation window, and also from the viewing tower once we reach the top. A guided waterfall tour of amazing Ruby Falls will be so unique. Now, you got to study this picture hard, but what this is, you descend in an elevator to see the tallest underground waterfall in the U.S. that's open to the public. Or, if you'd rather, you can wait in the gift shop. We'll visit Rock City, a true marvel of nature, featuring massive ancient rock formations, gardens with over 400 native plant species, and see 7 states from our panoramic view. The Chattanooga Ducks Tour is a narrated boat tour on the Tennessee River aboard an authentic, renovated World War II amphibious duck boat. What fun! Cruise past the scenic downtown, along the riverfront, and past the Island Wildlife Sanctuary. Relax on a 4-hour journey along the Taka River into the lush Chattanooga National Forest aboard the Blue Ridge Scenic Railway. Extra enjoyment will be a 2-hour layover in quaint sister towns across the line in Georgia. What a treat as we're seated for a dockside dinner and then set sail on a sunset cruise aboard the lovely Southern Belle riverboat, providing live music and beautiful views. Now, other things we'll do on this great tour include time at the intriguing Museum of Appalachia, a living mountain village from the 1800s, a great barbecue dinner at Sticky Fingers, entertainment by a bluegrass ensemble, and more. Altogether, a really wonderful opportunity for anyone looking for a new, very fun-filled getaway. Call for the flyer. Plan to join us. The Williamsburg Grand Illumination in December. Twinkling lights, handcrafted door wreaths, and the crackling cressets of Colonial Williamsburg. One of our favorite places to be any time of year, Colonial Williamsburg Christmas season officially begins with the Grand Illumination, a spectacular evening when candles twinkle in the windows of the historic homes and buildings, fat wood crackles in the street-side cressets, and the heavens explode with massive fireworks. We begin with a guided walking tour of Colonial Williamsburg, including the 18th century Capitol, Governor's Palace, and much more. You'll hear history, learn fun tidbits, and genuinely love the feeling in the air that abounds here this time of year. During your free time, you can explore Colonial Williamsburg any way you wish. Shop the stores, drink hot cider, ride in a carriage, see Santa, eat hot ginger cakes, which are a personal favorite of mine and I highly recommend them, and bask in the ambience of an era gone by. It is thoroughly magical. You'll see 18th century inspired holiday wreaths as these gorgeous botanical creations adorn the doors of historic buildings. They must all be made from materials that were available back in the day. And you never know when a fife and drum parade will break out on the street. Many celebrations such as this take place at random as part of this colonial holiday welcome celebration. The little period style stores are one of my favorite things to peruse here. You truly begin to feel you're living in this simpler era when things were less complicated and life was slower paced. Everywhere you go, you're reminded that Christmas has always been a cherished tradition and held a centuries-old place of importance for everyone of all times. You'll tour the magnificent 1726 Berkeley Plantation, recommended by Good Housekeeping magazine. Hear stories of Christmas through 4 centuries of history and experience an authentic plantation celebration. In Yorktown, recall century-old holiday traditions through special programs and music of the period. Then spend a little time at their Christmas market. Maybe you'll find those last-minute Christmas gifts you've been looking for. And the icing on the cake or the tinsel on the tree is your evening at the majestic Grand Illumination celebration that you're looking at here. Majestic fireworks displays go off from several locations. There's dancing, caroling, beautifully lit candles everywhere, hot drinks on the streets, entertainment, glitter, the warmth of the season at every turn. It is truly an awesome experience, and we'd love to show it to you this year. New Year's Eve at the Barns of Napanee. Of course, it's December 31st, 2022 and January 1st, 2023. Seems funny to think that far ahead, doesn't it, right now? But one of the nicest places we've ever gone for New Year's Eve was Amish Acres in Indiana. It's been renamed the Barn at Napanee's, but the spirit, quality, and atmosphere are still the same, and we can't wait to ring in the new year with you there. They put on such a lovely celebration that's hard to beat. Just look at this. Our gala evening will start with a sumptuous dinner at the Farm Table Restaurant in that picture, truly a feast to behold. Then we take our seats at the Round Barn Theater, and this year their production is White Christmas. Won't that be fun? Then the joy continues with yummy hors d'oeuvres and a wonderful music cabaret. Then at midnight, we all go outside with our coats and bundle up around the pond for a gorgeous fireworks display as 2023 makes its regal entrance. Truly a magical time. Happy New Year, everyone. After breakfast the next morning, we make our way home to begin the brand new year. Our TLC team hopes to celebrate it with you this time. Sweet Florida sunshine, February 2023. Warm, snowless days of fun in the sun and 3 days in Key West. Our Grand Florida tour for 2022 has just returned, but believe me, it's not too soon to start planning for the 2023 visit. Hotel rooms, especially in places like Key West, are booking up for 2 to 3 years in advance. Well, we're definitely holding a block of rooms, but once they're filled, it's very doubtful we'll be able to get more. So you'll want to get the fully detailed flyer for this one so you can get your space held with us. But here's a few highlights. As I mentioned earlier, our excellent senior driving team, Rich and Karen Harold, serve as drivers, escorts, and hosts for this very special Florida Circle Tour. You could not possibly be in better driving hands nor have more experienced professionals to guide your touring. The combination is truly top shelf. And if you've ever been on tour with them, you know they are both total sweeties and graciously kind in every way. You're looking at beautiful St. Augustine, where we begin our sunshiny vacation. You'll love this trolley tour of the historic district, as well as dinner in Old Town. Plus, your hotel will have ocean views. Working our way down the East Coast, we'll visit Cape Canaveral and, if available, embark on their launch site tram tour at the Kennedy Space Center. This place is truly amazing. You can relax in your beautiful modern coach as we drive from Miami to Key West on the Overseas Highway across a 113-mile chain of coral and limestone islands connected by 42 bridges, and one of them 7 miles long. You'll stop in Key Largo for lunch as well as a couple other picture opportunities, but it is a truly majestic route all the way. You'll spend 3 nights in Key West again this year. We added an extra day per your request, and we'll be at the Doubletree Grand Key Resort. We include a trolley tour complete with holiday hop-on, hop-off pass, entrance to the Hemingway and Truman houses, and a free day to explore on your own the things that interest you the most. And just as a side note, what interests you the most will probably include a piece of their famous key lime pie. Take pictures as you stand at the southernmost tip of the continental United States of America and end the day with a magnificent sunset cruise. Our folks love this every time. Eventually, we begin our touring up the western side of the state and stop at Everglades City for an exciting airboat ride through the Florida Everglades. If you saw the pictures of the faces of our folks as they zoomed across the waters, you will know this was a true highlight. In Fort Myers, we visit the intriguing Edison and Ford Winter Estates. You're looking at some of the many banyan trees planted there. And in Sarasota, we take time to explore the phenomenal mansion estate of John and Mabel Ringling of circus fame. Isn't that something? Beautiful. It's now a 66-acre museum, and we'll tour this fabulous home. We'll see the circus museum that's there, and ooh and ah at the stunning views right outside their door. There are many more things than time to tell here, as always, such as we stop in Siesta Key. Did you know it's where our Ohio and PA Amish folks go for their winter vacationing? Maybe we'll see some. There are so many ways to visit Florida, but we think it is one of the very best plans possible. And those who have gone with us, well, with Rich and Karen anyway, wholeheartedly agree. We want to thank you for the memories, and many of our tours in this book will be available again next year, as they are the most popular destinations countrywide. The dates may move around a little, but most will return freshly planned and ready to take you to the places you couldn't get to this year. Plus, there are some brand new adventures we're very excited to be working on already, so stay tuned. Some of the 2023 dates will be listed in our mid-year mailer, which comes out in the summer, or feel free to call the office to check on the ones you're interested in. Plus, as a reminder, keep your eye on our wonderful new website.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Lou Hammond, and I'm going to be your escort. Oh, wait a minute. We're not on a trip, are we? I am an escort with TLC Tours, and Sharon has asked me to give you some information that might help you to make some decisions on what you want to do, where you want to go, how you want to do it. We do offer some incentives as you travel. So the first one I'm going to tell you about is called a reward card. First time that you take an overnight trip with TLC, you're going to get one of these. Kind of looks like a business card size. And you kind of have to think of it like the game of Monopoly. When you play Monopoly and you pass go, you get $200. When you play the reward card and you get all of these holes punched out, you get $100 toward the cost of an overnight trip. And this is how it works. First overnight trip you take, you're going to get one of these cards. It's going to have a date on the front, month and year. You have 1 year from the date on the front of that card. Let's just suppose it is May of 2022. You have until the last day of May of 2023 to fill that card, to get all of the holes punched out. And if you can do that, then you can turn that card in at your discretion and use it toward $100 off the cost of an overnight trip. If you don't get it full in 1 year, unfortunately, it becomes null and void and you got to start all over again. We have a couple of ways that can kind of help you get that card full. So there's 3 ways that you can get a punch on that card. The first one, of course, take an overnight trip. You're going to get a punch. The second way is to choose one of the trips from a list that we have. There's 30 some. And that list comprises of trips that are 3 days, 4 days. Some of them are 6 or 7 days. Some of them are our bigger trips. If you choose one of those trips and sign up for it by it would be the following Monday. So travel meetings are Saturday. On Monday, that following Monday, if you call in and sign up for a trip that is on that list, then in addition to your confirmation memo, they're going to send you what they call a VIP ticket or a VIP coupon. And if you bring that with you on that trip, then not only will that escort punch your card because you're on the trip, she's going to punch it for that VIP coupon as well. It only applies to those incentive trips that are on the list, and you must have made your reservation by 5 o'clock that following Monday. So that's 2 ways now you can get a punch on your card. Now, the third way has to do with coming to our travel meetings. If you have one of these DVDs, you've probably been to our travel meetings, and you've probably already got a travel meeting coupon. So it's another piece of paper that you bring with you on the trip. Give it to the escort. The escort is now going to punch you again for that travel meeting coupon. It's entirely possible you could pick a trip from the incentive list, go on that trip, and have 3 punches on that card with just 1 trip. So don't lose your card. Put it somewhere safe, keep it with you, so that every time you travel with us, you'll have that card to receive your punch. Every rule has an exception, right? So we have an exception to this. Actually, there are 2 exceptions. The first one we don't find too much anymore, but you can only take 2 gambling trips and put them on 1 card. We don't do that many gambling trips. I don't think there are 2 on the books this year. But if there ever would be 2 or 3 or 4, you can only put 2 gambling trips on 1 card. The other exception is the travel meetings coupon. It's possible you could have 2 travel meeting coupons, but you can only put 1 coupon on a card. You're not going to lose that other punch. You just hold on to that coupon until you start another card. So when it's all said and done, hang on to your paperwork, bring your things on the trip, get your punches, and then you can pick out a trip and you'll have $100 to put down toward that trip or to help pay it off when you're ready. So that's your reward card. All right, the other thing that I want to talk to you about is the real strange thing called a PPP. I don't know where they come up with these names, but this is a payment perk plan. And what has happened is they have designated 10 trips in our book. And if you sign up for one of those trips and pay for it in full by March 31st, they're going to give you $10 a day off per person per trip. Now, I'm going to read you the list because I couldn't memorize it. And there is one that's not on the written list. We have one that is written if you want to pick one up or have the office mail it to you. But for right now, if you sign up for one of these trips that I'm going to read and pay for it by the 31st of March, you'll have a $10 discount per day for each person that signs up and pays by the end of March. You're going to have Georgia, Myrtle Beach in the spring. the Colorado Rockies, the Mississippi River Cruise, Yellowstone, the Outer Banks, stunning New England, trails to Texas, the southern USA islands, and they've added one that's not on the list if you get a printed copy, and that is New Orleans and Southern Charms, I believe it is, of New Orleans. I think that about wraps it up for my part, at least. Thanks for your attention. I also want to mention that it has been a great year, 2021, and we are certainly looking forward to an even better one in 2022 and looking forward to seeing all of you. I think Sharon has a few things that she wants to tell you just to wrap things up, so I'll have her come back.
Alrighty. Thank you for your time being part of our very special and unique 2022 travel meeting. We hope you've enjoyed learning more about our company and taking a little touring adventure with us today. Our office is open 9 to 5, Mondays through Fridays, and we would love the chance to talk with you and hopefully take you to places you've only dreamed about going. We look very forward to good times ahead this year, so continue to stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.